Check, check. I don't know why it's not picking up anything.
Yeah, it's a separate broadcasting channel. Test.
Hello, 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 hello.
Here we go.
Not too bad.
Hey.
Not too bad.
Tony, have you ever done the broadcast before?
Test.
Oh, there.
Here we go. You got it.
Good morning from the Duluth Curling Club. We're here at the 2024 Duluth Cashspiel semifinal action this morning between Joe Polo and John Shuster, former teammates many times over. Corey Dropkin throwing last rocks for Team Polo. Joe calling the house. Tyler George here in the booth with Jackson Purdy. Jackson, good morning to you. How you been?
Good, Tyler. How about you?
Pretty good. We both competed in this event this weekend and came up a little short of getting to the playoffs, but you know the good money's in the broadcast booth, obviously. And although I think our payment's probably going to be in beverages throughout the day,
That's okay.
we accept that.
I've definitely been paid in worse ways, Tyler.
Starting off the first end already. Team Polo with hammer by virtue of top seed going into the playoff round. Team Shuster with a tight battle against Moybrook this morning to make their way into the semifinals. Came down to the last rock. Moybrook had an in-off for a possible 3 in the wind, but couldn't come through. So John and his squad advanced to this semifinal game with Joe and Corey. Team lineups we have for this weekend. For Team Shuster, very familiar lineup. John Landsteiner at lead, Matt Hamill in second, Chris Plies at third, and John Shuster with no C at skip. On the flip side, Team Polo with Corey Dropkin throwing last, Joe throwing third, calling the house, Matt Mellon at second, and my brother-in-law, Derek Benson, at lead position. Jackson, we talked about this game before the start, that really this is a matchup for the top left-handed lead in the Duluth Curling Club, the city of Duluth, the Arrowhead region, the state of Minnesota, the United States, possibly the world. Yeah. So big matchup, but I did hear from John Landsteiner, quote, I didn't lose any sleep over it last night.
I don't think John gets all that nervous throwing lead here. He's got that down pretty good. Got a couple lefties on the ice today. Mellon's also a lefty, smooth throwing up there at second. He's just good skip in his own right, too.
Yeah, we did play against Team Polo. Both of us did this weekend, and I have to say I was very impressed with how Matt threw the rock. Seen him play plenty in the club here in Duluth, too, but the Cashspiel circumstances to play the way he has fits in very well with this squad, and I can't give Derek Benson too much credit, too much props, or he's going to get a big head, so we'll say he played okay too.
It doesn't need to get any bigger than it already is, to be honest.
He's good enough at golf. He doesn't have to take credit in curling world too. It's a little action early on. Center guard up for Team Shuster, and a rock buried in the top of the 8-foot as well. Can't tell if that yellow stone for Joe is biting on the outside of the house or not.
Yeah, it looks real close. Tough to tell from the booth here.
Could come up big later in the end if they need to measure for an extra point, but as of now, Shuster firmly in control of the end with the center guard and the rock underneath. See that freeze attempt by Matt Mellon. Bounces off and sits open. Starting off this game, Shuster with a pretty short break between the quarterfinals and the semifinals. The 8 a.m. game getting off the ice about hour and a half ago, somewhere in there.
How much of an advantage is it for Team Polo here not having to play this morning, getting a little morning break?
It does make a difference in curling. I think that actually haired the guard. I redirected for that hit, so a little break for Shuster and for Matt Hamlin on that throw. We do see Matt intern in the middle of the sheet. That miss tends to be a little bit on the narrow side there. Good sweep to hold it and get a good result out of the shot at least.
Yeah, killed the rock, got it out of the way. Got to make a good one here, Matt. We also have another semifinal matchup starting on sheet 8. We have Purcell versus Sampson first rock in the house, right on the button.
An even shorter break for that game for Team Sampson after playing an extra end and an over 3-hour game, basically going right back on the ice for their semifinal matchup after a big win over Team Ruinen this morning.
Yeah, I think they had all of 5 minutes there to quick break, quick drink. Right back out there.
Intern come around draw. Chris Plies here. Coming around everything. All the way to the back of the button. Looks mostly buried. Polo now electing to bail a little bit. Definitely chasing in this end. Corey Dropkin lining up. Looks to be playing the run. Even just opening this up would be a good result.
Yeah, the Peel's a good miss. Good second option here.
Doesn't get anything in the house, but opens the center up a little bit. Rolls barely off center line. The two red counters now open. Easy call for Shuster to replace the guard. Keep Polo chasing. A change that Corey Dropkin made, Jackson, this past season for his men's team, electing to sweep but throw last stones and having Andrew Stapera call the house. Corey really likes to sweep. We've seen the impact he can have on a rock in the mixed doubles game. Obviously, is the reigning world champion with Corey Christensen. It's a little unorthodox for a curling team not having the last rock thrower call the house. There have been some teams in curling history that had success with that. Randy Furby's team with Dave Netowin throwing last, obviously the best example, multiple-time world champion. But seems like Corey really enjoys the game more when he's more active and he's getting to stretch a little bit with the sweep and not stand back there and just calling the house.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he can really change a game and change shot outcomes with him on the broom there. I've seen him save some of my shots in league play too. It's kind of an unfair advantage, to be honest. Don't want to give him too much credit, though.
Oh, Corey's throwing it as good as anybody in the world right now. I think that mixed doubles title really gave him even more confidence, and the rock's coming out of his hands so good. Again, having played these guys this week, if he keeps throwing it the way he is, that's going to put those guys in position to possibly be a front runner for the men's title too. And I know that's Corey's main goal. He's got that red banner here for the world title in the double side, but his sights are set firmly on getting on top of the podium for men's nationals this year.
Absolutely, I think this is a good weekend for him to get some reps in, and obviously not playing with his men's team, but good confidence builder and gets him ready for nationals here in a couple weeks.
Guard still up top here. Shuster sitting 2, top 8 and back of the button. Coming to skip stones. Good chance for John to go on the offensive. A good early start for Shuster. And you asked before about the advantage with having the rest or having been on the ice and played. It's a little of both. For a long tournament like this, now you're playing your 7th game for Team Shuster, 6th game for Team Polo, 3 games on Friday, 2 on Saturday. That little extra rest, I think if it's me, I prefer having that longer time as opposed to getting the conditions in the morning. Ice has been pretty consistent throughout here, so I don't think it's something where you're concerned about figuring it out and the other team gets the advantage because they've already played a game. And obviously, having the bye means that you can't lose the quarterfinal.
Right.
You're already in.
You don't have that pressure of having to play again. And huge shout out to the ice makers this week. It's like Tyler just said, it's been very consistent and great ice. It's a little different than league play where it's, throwing it's complete gas every time. You get practice, you get a couple rocks in, and you be able to be ready to go right away.
Out turn, come around draw for Shuster. Looks like he's just playing it to a tight guard, though. It's a little conservative, but trying to make Dropkin waste a stone on having to clear the fronts. Likely deciding between the double peel or the freeze. Jackson, I like the freeze here. What do you think?
The freeze doesn't look bad to me. I know Corey likes to throw up-weight shots. He's got that shot as well. Wouldn't be surprised if he threw it, but I agree. I think the freeze is a good call.
Dropkin throwing the in-turn freeze as we predicted he may. Very important shot early in this game. Can get his team out of trouble with a good one. Trying to come right to that stone on the back of the button. Benson and Mellon sweeping this all the way right back to that stone. Perfectly done by Dropkin. Right to the stone. Thanks to Tony Lasky watching at home, trying to tell us that the mics weren't on, but he just didn't have the live broadcast on, so we thought we just did a whole end of talking for nothing, but apparently we are on, and you can hear us out there, so thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, a little bit of panic, a bunch of wasted words there.
Thought we had to do the intros all over again and everything. Tony, you owe me a beverage later, I think. Schuster's last here in the first end. After that great freeze by Dropkin. Just trying to follow. John makes the freeze. It's going to be tough for Dropkin to score more than one. This is gliding a little bit, though, and needs to turn over. Hamilton trying to get it to curl.
Well, a little broom slam out of John there.
That's
opens up the door to get your two here after controlling the end for the whole time. Shuster, gives him an opportunity to get up on top here.
And all of a sudden, Dropkin with the exact same shot he just threw for a second point after Shuster controlled the entire end. That is the game of curling, Jackson. Make one mistake in the wrong spot after completely outplaying your opponent for an end, and all of a sudden, you might be looking at 2 points.
Yeah, this is a little different curling than what I'm used to. League play and 5 and under stuff can make some mistakes and get away with it. Where here, you miss by an inch, and they see it as a mile. They take it.
Yeah, and really and John will be the first to say, that's a miss on the wrong side. If that rock is a hair short, it's a very tough shot for two for Corey. I'm not even sure that there would be one on the opposite side. So that's just not one you can be deep and wide on. And we did see early in the game that when you played a few shots on the same path in the first couple ends, it doesn't just speed up, it straightens out. So possibly had Shuster run into that on that path if we're going to give him an out on it.
Yeah.
Final shot here. Dropkin Sweeper's trying to carry it for that second point.
Here comes Joe to help. Got to get it there.
It's real close. Don't know if they got it there or not. Very close. One for sure.
Tough to tell. Looks like one.
I don't think that quite got
A
there.
little short. That red biting back button kept Shuster to a force there.
So we do believe, until we see it on the scoreboard, it's 1 for Polo. After all that, ends up being a force for Team Shuster. Not a bad result. I want to take a minute to thank our sponsors for the weekend. Pickwick Restaurant and Pub, the Duluth Curling Club, George's Liquor on Arrowhead, Roscoe's Pioneer Bar, Lake Superior Dental, your father Dave Purdy's business. Thank you, Jackson.
Yeah.
And our title sponsor, Broom Fitters. Thanks to all for supporting the event, making it as great as it's been.
Yeah, Roscoe's local watering hole around here. George's Liquor, obviously, thanks to the George family here. And Duluth Curling Club always puts on a great event. And Pickwick, can't beat it.
Yeah, a lot of curlers involved in these sponsors, obviously. Tim and Amy Wright, owners of the Pickwick Restaurant. Dustin Tomasetti, head chef there, might make an appearance in the booth later this afternoon for the finals. That's the rumor. Dustin's been celebrating for a couple days on
He's
major event in his life.
He's had a great weekend.
We won't go into details on that, and he can talk about it if he likes. But let's just say if you need a drink this weekend, it's on him.
Yeah, he's not short on. Won't be hurting the wallet today.
Same goes for manager at the Pickwick, Tony Wright. Also buying for anybody interested.
You know him, find him.
Good chance they'll be down here, I'd hope. Second end. Back to action here. John Landsteiner throwing his first after a nice center guard from Mr. Derek Benson. Right in the middle of the fairway for him.
He doesn't miss that fairway much.
No, he's quite accomplished amateur golfer in the area. The kind of what's that tournament that he owns? Is it Cloquet or Moose Lake that he?
Moose Lake.
Moose Lake wins
Moose Lake, yeah,
just about every year now these days.
Yeah, I still think I'm up in the Venmo reports on him.
That's the one that counts. Benson's second now, playing the old southpaw intern. Coming around the outside, I believe, of center guard that he threw after the high corner by Landsteiner. Probably a little higher than they like. Mellon getting this one to turn over. Looks like another good one from Derek. Coming out hot as a pistol. Landsteiner, another lefty again. Trying to follow around the outside. Playing a freeze to that stone. Maybe a little on the narrow side here. Sweeper's trying to hold it. Still going. Maybe a hair short too, but still carrying it. Hamilton implies keeping it moving. Pretty good sweep by the boys there to get that to top 8. Not a bad angle, Jackson.
No, not at all. I think that's going to be useful for sure. You know, I realized this weekend threw a lot of corner guards playing lead. Didn't use them very often. I think we used one of them. Almost all of my... We didn't have hammer all that often, so we were throwing a lot of corner guards. Just seems like they throw that center and you come right under it and chase it and try to beat them to that 4-foot.
Yeah, you see that a lot in the high-level curling, the World Tour, the elite level play, that you really have to execute well to be able to use corner guards when your opponent is pressing the action in the center. So you probably need to make a run back at some point or get a half miss and make maybe a bump or hit and roll to the outside. So if you can drag the action there, great. But if you just throw to the corner at the start of the end, you're probably chasing in the middle. So it's a risk to try to use the corners early in the end and put yourself behind the 8-ball trying to chase your opponent. And that's where the chess match comes in.
Yeah, and those corners, I've done a few times. Those corners can be useful in the later back half of the end for sure with the third and skip stones.
Quick cut over to sheet 8 here as we see final stone for Purcell trying to play an angle run against a few. Ends up being on the nose. Gives up a steal 1, at least. Looks like maybe a measure for a second point. We'll let you know what happens there. But an early lead for Team Sampson after the quick turnaround.
Yep, they are measuring. It's close for that 2. Steal a 2 here would be huge to start out the game. Corey trying to carve one in here for Matt.
Really leaning on that one, getting that moving. Almost gets it over far enough for the double, but gets them both moving.
Clears up that center of the house a little bit there.
Yeah, that's
Good shot.
good shot for Polo. So important there that you clear that space open. And again, maybe Shuster likes to go to the corner now. Maybe goes to the center. Looking at both, the corner is so high, it's kind of difficult to use. So John's electing to go back to the center again. Not real surprised by this call.
Yeah, with the ice moving the way it is, it's pretty easy to get at if you throw it to that corner.
So it is the intern come around for Matt Hamilton. Again, the side tends to be a little on the narrow side on. It looks like this one's very nice. Sweeper's pulling it into the top of the 8-foot. I think the Schuster is sitting 2. Dropkin and Polo talking about hitting the back stone, rolling in. That is the one downside for Schuster, is that the stone that Hamilton threw now kind of serves as another guard if you can get underneath. So a hit and roll off that back stone will make it difficult for Schuster to chase. Could end up having to play something soft, maybe a draw bump or a freeze.
Yeah, and Polo's just been so good on his hits this weekend. He doesn't miss much either way.
We apologize if you can hear the rustling of a coat on the broadcast as well. It is a little chilly in the booth down here. They call it the icebox for a reason.
Keeps the drinks cold though, Tyler.
It does, hypothetically speaking.
Had to drink the coffee quick, so it was still warm.
It looked like an awfully tasty coffee, I can tell you that. The color and everything.
Yeah, it was a good, nice creamer in there. Great shot on the Polo there. You got the hit and roll to the back 4 foot.
That's
Maybe
really
putting
well
back
done.
4, back 8. Over on sheet 8, they did measure. It was just a steal 1 for Sampson, but still a good start for them.
I was really impressed with Sampson at the Nationals last year in Denver, Jackson, getting to watch them play a decent amount, spend some time with those guys. Mike Moore worked with them a bunch the previous season, did a great job with them. Mike was here playing in the Spiel this weekend. But took Team Schuster to an extra end final shot. John made a fantastic bump for the win, but a lot of bright future with that squad and where they could go.
Yeah, they've had a really good year. I think they've made like 5 or 6 semifinal appearances, so this is another good weekend for the team. Jake Zeman, play with him a little bit, play with his dad, team manager, basically.
Mm-hmm.
they're kind enough to leave the house and give their house to the boys this weekend.
Hopefully there's something left of it when the boys are done. It's like Polo sitting 1-2 still as Plies is not able to bump that out or sit in front of it. Just touches it over and goes by. So Polo now on the attack, and both teams without hammer in the first two ends have kind of controlled the action. That kind of started with the front end play. Lead Stones in the first end, Landsteiner with the advantage. Second end, Benson with the advantage. And again, the lefties lead battle that we mentioned before the game, key in this matchup and for bragging rights forever in this club.
Yeah, it's a good bragging right to have, especially against Landsteiner.
Yeah, I've long said he's one of the best in the game, either-handed, lefty or righty lead, but just so important to have somebody that consistent at that position. Great weight reader, great thrower, great teammate.
I heard somebody say if you were to put together a team of leads, Landsteiner would be the lead of the leads. That's pretty impressive.
That's a pretty good way to put it, I guess. He might want to be the skip of the leads, though. I don't know. The circus shots you see him play in league down here.
Yeah, and that's the fun part about being a member down here is you get to play against Olympic gold medalists in random Tuesday in the winter. All of a sudden, you're playing against Joe Polo and getting run off the sheet in four ends.
Yeah, and I can speak to that too. It's fun for us on that side of it to be able to play with buddies and take a little bit of the pressure off from tour and the major events and just come out and have a good time, because we enjoy league and the camaraderie just the same as everybody else. So
yeah,
it's just as much fun on both sides of the equation.
It's fun to play against some different level of competition. You never expect to miss, which is weird. And you're all willing to help too. New curlers coming in and looking to take people under your wing and help out, learn the game.
Yeah, that's the curling world, and that really never changes at any level that you play at. And one of the best things about the sport, that camaraderie and willingness to help is always going to be there. It's a little pocket for Plies here. His favorite shot, up weight, out turn side. Just looking to clear both of those, and I think they were trying to maybe just leave it there, but didn't quite curl enough and squirts through. Does clear both yellow stones, but would love to keep that position.
Yeah, you don't see that happen all that often where it just basically runs straight through them and clears them both.
So again, that stone in the top of the 8-foot for Shuster that they buried earlier, serving kind of as a second guard now. So out turn draw for Dropkin. Looking to get this right to the top of the 4-foot. Good chance to put some pressure on Shuster in the second end. And Polo signaling out front, thinking maybe they don't want to risk coming in. I still like coming in, Jackson. I think as long as it's curling enough to get there, keep putting the pressure on.
Yeah, you put one. Where would you put this one, Tyler? Top 4-ish?
Yeah, just as much as you can bury. Get a top 4. Even if you only bury half of it, it's still a good spot. So you don't have to get too aggressive with the line trying to get underneath. Any part of that stone that's underneath that doesn't leave a double is a good shot here for Corey.
Absolutely. And the rocks are moving, so it's a good opportunity to get one underneath.
Weight looks like it's all there. It's going to be all the way back to the other yellow.
What were you saying about not leaving a double?
Yeah, I don't know if there is one to stay and sit to. Looks like John thinks there is. Just overthrown there by Dropkin. Haven't seen too many mistakes like that from him this weekend.
No, he didn't make any against us.
Got to come out of retirement for one weekend only this weekend with Team Wendling, our junior national team, who earned our spot at the World Championships with a fantastic performance at the Junior Bs a few weeks ago. So they will be playing in the Junior Worlds in a few weeks and also competing in the men's nationals. So really fun for me to get out there and in my home club, play with those guys, try to impart a little bit of knowledge, whatever I can. And that's a very talented young squad. Again, another team with a bright future that's, all of them in their late teens, early 20s. High hopes for them at the Worlds, and I would say a dark horse for the playoffs at the men's nationals, too. A lot of talent on that squad. So thanks to the guys with Team Wendling, West Wendling, Kevin Tuma, my man Jax, the horse, sweeping at lead.
Yeah, Jackson's a big kid. He can put some weight on that broom, and
he can make him dance.
Yeah, absolutely. Must have been fun for you to, like you said, impart some knowledge and hopefully teach him a thing or two about the game.
And wisely stay out of the way on sweeps for the most part. And
don't want to hurt yourself.
Let the young guys go. Yeah, we don't need any stretchers out here for the old guys, but a lot of fun playing with those guys. Wishing the best of luck at the men's and the Junior Worlds as well.
Yeah, and Kevin Tuma throwing it great, coming up, battling a knee injury, having to change his throwing style too, going from tucking to flat foot. It's a big change.
It's a major adjustment, yeah, but probably adds a decade on to your career.
Yeah, absolutely.
That tuck slide can be hell on the knee, so didn't quite clear both there. Actually just tried to play a tap and create a pocket, I think, with the weight that they threw, but opens up enough that I think Dropkin can get to the inside. Really important shot here. Can't hang this one out the same way that the last two did. Just a soft weight, bump and roll on Dropkin's last. Path very similar to what he just threw. I don't think he's going to throw a ton more weight.
I was going to say similar weight. Seems like it's going to be pretty good. Should get that out of the way and get to a good spot.
He's definitely playing to hit and roll. He's not just playing to bump with this weight. So
now I'm getting it moving here. Get the roll. Straight nose.
Just gets by. Doesn't roll in, but does sit two. So Shuster looks like forced to play the hit and stick for one.
Yeah, looks like a couple of forces out of the gates.
Yeah, both these first two ends kind of controlled by the team without hammer. Forcing the opponent to a single if Shuster is able to make here. Outturn soft weight hit, probably somewhere between board and control. Final stone of this second end. Just a little on-off sweep early. Hamilton cleaning it in. Everything looks fine. The best word to hear in curling, Jackson, clean.
Absolutely. You get that, whoa, yeah, and it's like, okay, it's close, right?
It is a single for Shuster after two ends of play, tied 1-1. Give you a quick look at sheet 8 here with Team Purcell and Team Sampson. My good buddy Scott Zachary playing with Team Purcell. Done a whole bunch of charity events with him. A little different kind of curling at those things, as you well know, Jackson. But, yeah, Scott's a great guy. Works with New Scotland Clothing Company and Brewery. Got some nice gear from him that I wear around, some of my favorite sweaters.
Yeah, not sure who schedules the curling during those charity events, but it kind of seems like an afterthought.
It gets in the
based
way
on my
every once in a while,
experience.
yes, it does. For a great cause with both events. Scott and I have done the Curl for Kids in Oakville together many times and raised a bunch of money for the Children's Hospital up there and here in Duluth. House of Hearts just around the corner. Project Joy and the local food bank. Raising money to feed hungry kids in the Northland. So all that's fun and intermittent curling that we have at the events for a good reason.
For those tuning in here, Purcell is red rocks on sheet 8, Samson yellow. Check out this throw here from Samson.
Samson's sitting 2 already after that steal in the first. Looking to get a force if they can. Or maybe a soft steal. Not a lot of guards in play for a strong steal opportunity, but load up enough rocks in the house. Could possibly get an opportunity for a miss on the last stone and a steal of a couple. Never a bad thing, especially early in a game, to make your opponent look at multiple counters. Force them to play a shot against points.
Absolutely, and I'm a big golfer, and it's just like putting the one close to the hole and having your opponent have to hit one in. It's puts a lot of pressure on.
That's right. Great sweep there from Zeman and Kleinis to get that to biting the 8s. Doesn't quite get a counter out of it. Jake Zeman, one of probably 20 curlers out here this week that made me feel about 1,000,000 years old.
Yeah, I feel old even.
So maybe an opportunity for a Skip's deuce if Purcell can make a good freeze here with that rock over curling just a touch. Not a lot of places to put it where it's a great result, but if you can bite top 4s and nestle up against that number 1 counter for Team Samson, maybe possibly set up a 2-point end.
Looks really tight here.
Yeah, they don't want to go. They think the weight's there, but it's turning over pretty hard. Looks like it might be on the yellow stone on the top of the house.
Tap that into a counter.
May have even bumped it in for 3rd count. Yeah, so
good opportunity here for Ethan to throw on top 8 and make Purcell draw against 4.
Yeah, they
to
can definitely cut off the draw path. Make him draw against the pile. Whether this is a counter or not, just getting it on the center line, making him go out a little bit wider to play that draw against 3 or 4, whatever it ends up being. A lot of pressure here on Purcell coming up for that last stone.
3 or 4 doesn't really change the mindset of the thrower there. It's still a lot of pressure and a tough shot.
We'll play out the rest of this end here in the second and get back to action on sheet 4. But we can tell you just 2 stones in play so far over there. 2 guards for Team Shuster. Out-turn draw for Ethan Sampson. As you mentioned, Jackson just trying to throw it right on that center line. Guard the rock in the back of the 4-foot. They don't want to go too far here and have it over curl. They'd like to get a counter if they can. That's a pretty good spot.
Top 12, like you said, it's still guarding that draw path. Makes it tough. You can't just come down to that back yellow.
Yeah, based on where the rocks are in the house, not having seen the early part of the end, still looks as though they haven't really played this path the entire end, except for maybe that last draw by Sampson, and the rock that's in the back of the 8-foot possibly could have been. But maybe a little fresher path out this far, having to go around that stone on the top of the 12-foot. Could make a difference on speed. Could be a little bit of a guess.
Yeah, definitely want to put this in the sweeper's hands, hold it straight and let it come around at the end.
Final stone of this second end, very important.
Plenty of ice here.
This is gliding right now. Needs to start turning over for speed. Looks like it's digging. And very nicely done. Good one for the confidence. Maybe the knee's shaking a little bit. But it is a single for Purcell. They'll be tied up 1-1 going to the third.
Absolutely. Draw to the button, pretty automatic for these guys.
Our feature game again back on sheet 4. Polo and Shuster tied at 1, playing third end. Center guard in play for Shuster, and a semi-corner, a rock in the top of the 8-foot out in the outside. Looks like Plies can see enough to get the inside and roll in.
Looks like there's might be a hole there to get at. That top guard is kind of in the way, though.
Yeah, kind of rolled right into the hole, but looks as though we do have a high guard there that was kind of camouflaged.
Yeah, I didn't see that at first. Got lost in the logo.
Yeah. Go on old Hoops Brewery.
Looks like they're going to just peel that out, get it out of the way, and make them replace it.
And neither team really able to get anything going offensively with Hammer so far. Might be one of those, Jackson, where first team to score a 2 or the team with Hammer coming home wins the game.
Yeah, I mean, your brother-in-law hates having Hammer. Any team he plays on, they just they love scoring. They love stealing. Great shot out of Joe Polo there.
I don't know that was what they were going for. Joey looks a little sheepish.
Maybe a little lucky miss there. Do you think they're apologizing about that one?
Yeah, I think that one might have been a little fortunate. Can't tell for certain, but I'd be awfully surprised if they were playing a 30-foot run through the hole,
through the gap,
which still leaves the guard up there.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's a little lucky, but it's not a great result. Still for Team Polo, as the 3 guards are up, and Schuster still can get underneath and keep Team Polo chasing. I think they would have rather had the 2 guards off and an open counter in the top of the 4-foot than this setup.
Yeah, straight peel, get rid of it, and yeah. Just a goofy looking end for sure. Not many rocks in play. High guard, too tight.
And John, I think, is going to play the intern tap here. He's got a pretty big area he can tap it to with the 2 guards up that would be difficult for Polo to get to. They definitely want him chasing by playing the run if they can make him. So Plies playing the intern bump on that tight red guard. Trying to hold the line. Don't want to cross the face. I think that's a good call there from John. The weight was a little up, so the sweepers let him know. John knew he had to catch it a little thinner, keep it above the tee, and still push it under the guard. So good team shot there.
Absolutely, communication is key. I mean, how many plan Bs, plan Cs, how many different plans do you have on a shot like that?
Well, usually you don't know until they let it go.
Until you hear from the sweepers on the way in line.
What can we get out of it? But yeah, there's a lot of different ways to get a good result, and the top teams figure it out earlier than the rest of the squads that you see immediately, oh, we're not on the line we need to be at, or oh, we're heavier than we needed to be. What can we do with it? And then that chessboard comes out and you're figuring out how can we get the best result out of this shot regardless of how it was thrown.
A little wick off the guard there. Not the end of the world. Clear that out a little bit.
It looked like they were lining up for a short run, so maybe really pinched a little bit by Polo there, so that would have been narrow on both those out turns.
Yeah, it didn't hit much of that guard. It only moved it about 2.5 feet off that center line.
So once again, team without hammer dictating the action.
Yeah, I think the Polo's team steal efficiency is like 0.68. Does that equate to about a 68% stealing, or how does that all work?
It's a ridiculously high level of steals. But yes, Derek and Matt were quick to tell us, and Polo, actually I heard from all three of them separately this morning, that their steal rate, which is the percentage of times that you steal when you don't have hammer, obviously, or number of ends that happens in, 0.68. So 68% of the time this weekend, Team Polo has stolen at least 1 point when they didn't have hammer, which is really an insane number. If you have something in the 20s in competitive curling on tour, then that's a very good steal percentage. So they've played extremely well without hammer. So that's probably why my brother-in-law likes playing without hammer so much, because they score all the time.
Usually means you're winning too. No surprise to see them go 5-0 out of pool play with a 70% steal efficiency. Even in leagues though, Derek, we can't score with the hammer. Get forced to one, and then all of a sudden off to the races with Derek.
It seems like that's the equivalent of not being able to putt.
Yeah,
You know?
pretty
No,
much.
just give me just short, and then I'll knock it tight after that. I think that's kind of Derek's game anyways.
Can't putt, but I'm going to chip in 4 times.
Yeah. That's probably accurate. The chip in or the getting out of trouble and tapping in as opposed to the 15-foot putt. That's stealing as opposed to scoring 2 with hammer.
Absolutely.
Might be a little stretch on the analogy there, but
I equate a lot of things to golf. That's what I know.
curling and golf are really the only 2 sports I compare to each other. It's sports of misses, not makes.
Yep, absolutely.
You're never going to play perfect in either game, and it's going to frustrate you to all ends of the earth to not do it.
I hate this game. Can't wait to play tomorrow.
Shuster sitting 2. Not a lot of trouble for Dropkin here. John likely trying to force, and Corey seeing if he can find a spot to draw around. Maybe set up a skip's deuce. Need to carry it to get shot. Ends up short, so now a little trouble for Team Polo. These the draw paths aren't real good. So even though Shuster doesn't have anything in the 4-foot, the way the guards are set up, there really isn't a great spot to come in for a draw, and John's going to take away what little Corey has left. This could be a difficult hammer shot coming up for Dropkin.
Definitely looks like another force coming in.
I think Corey would be very happy to have the force right now, the way this is set up.
I know Corey can move some stones, but that'd be impressive if he can come out of here with a blank.
Yeah, I don't see that one happening.
It's a lot of granite and some odd spots.
So Shuster playing the outturn draw, probably just trying to get this to top 12s. Take away Corey's draw path and force him to play something unorthodox to try to get in for his single.
Speaking of blanks, looks like the one's coming out here on 8. threw 14 rocks, not a single rock in play right now.
Yeah, I don't think we need too big of an update there visually. Team Purcell throwing, I believe, their skips first with 0 rocks in play.
Threw 12 rocks, my bad.
So if somebody scores, that means somebody missed, and we'll let you know if it happens. Schuster's final stone, playing this out-turn draw through the hole. We'll see how deep they want to bring this. Going hard, trying to get it to the top of the rings, or at least take that path away, which I believe it did.
Yeah, there's lots of yelling going on that one. Not a terrible result, though.
No. Number one thing there, no question, was to take that path away. So now Dropkin's likely choice is the tap on his corner yellow stone. Looks like that's what they're putting the broom down for. Jackson, I think you guys probably saw the same thing. It's a little weight sensitive with the difference between top 4 tee weight and back line weight, like for a tap. They seem to run a lot longer on those shots, and you saw a lot of those types of shots missed on the wide side.
Absolutely. They're running straight, and any type of weight, they just don't curl as much as they do on a draw. It's obviously weight's going to affect that, but you'd think they move a little bit.
He's really got a tight broom for this. Almost looks like they're playing a soft hit. Yeah, unless they think it runs that straight for a tap. They could also be playing just enough weight that they use the red for a backer, but it seems like a shot where you'd be playing just the straight tap, but this looks like a run.
Looks like board weight-ish.
Yeah, soft weight hit instead for Dropkin's final stone.
Mellon trying to get it to curl.
Yeah, just too thin. And again, exactly how we've seen that shot missed all weekend. There was a tap, but they played with plenty of weight, ran a little bit, caught it too thin. So it is a
steal of 2 for Shuster.
Steal of 2. John Shuster leading Joe Polo 3-1 after 3 ends of play. We're tech geniuses here in the booth. And
we found the fade button.
Yep. So as you see, 1 rock in play. Coming to final stone of the end for Ethan Sampson. Playing the in-turn hit. Looking to peel, roll out, and blank. Keep the hammer. Going into the 4th end. So despite starting the game after the Shuster Polo game because of the extra end in the quarterfinal, pretty much caught up now.
Yeah, they're only a couple stones back now. Pretty impressive. Happens with the blank. You catch up pretty quick, though.
And as we mentioned, it would take a miss for there to be a score, and there it is. Although they hang a point, Sampson will not be happy with that one after playing that entire end for the blank. Ends up nosing on his last shot and takes a point. Still leads 2-1 after 3 ends of play over on sheet 8. We'll get back over to our feature game. The guard thrown up by Landsteiner, a little bit off the center line. And
how much has no tick changed the game, Tyler?
It changes the game in the later ends a lot more than early, because you don't see teams playing tick shots in the first half of the game, or even for an 8-end game, the first 6 ends of the game. But that final end makes a huge difference, where all of a sudden players were getting so good at the lead position at making that tick shot that it was almost automatic. Back in the day when we called it the Weagle, in honor of Lisa Weagle from Team Holman, who probably was the first to make that shot consistently, that the tick really wasn't as big a concern just because it wasn't made as much as it is these days. So now, if you can't move the rock off the center line, as we're talking about the no-tick zone, that being a guard, a rock in the first 4 shots at the end, not being able to move it off of the center line, or it's taken out of play. When you can't move those stones, you have to play more creatively in the final end. So I know when they were talking about that rule change, their concern was we don't want a team that has the hammer in a tie game coming to the last end to not have as big an advantage as they did before, or not have as high a winning percentage in those situations. But they wanted the final end to be more interesting. And that's kind of what's happened. There's been a very small change in the percentage of teams that win the game when they have the hammer tied up. But the end is more interesting because there's more rocks in play, and it's not just making a couple ticks and then having, an easy final shot. The difficulty of the shots that teams have to make to win the game has risen, but the winning percentage of the teams with hammer in a tie game in the last end really has changed very minimally. So that's kind of the ideal situation. And the players seem like they're very much in favor of it too. They like the rule, the way that it changes the end of the game, and for the fans' perspective and for the popularity of the game, it's a great change, obviously. So
Absolutely. It definitely makes it more interesting. We don't play it all that much, but I fell victim to ticking one, and all of a sudden we're out of rock in an end.
Well, I'm playing with a player who made a lot of those ticks in John Lanster. I can tell you how big a weapon that is late in games. So, but it's great from a viewing perspective now that as long as the leads make their shots, you're going to have a much more interesting final end of the game.
Absolutely.
And it does come into play in the early ends of the game more with don't wreck a guard, don't push it off of the center line with a missed shot, or it's taken out of play. Don't see it too often, but it does create more offensive situations, more interesting ends throughout the game, as did the 5-rock rule with corner guards as well, with guards, period, not being able to take them out of play.
And was it Russia who would just hit everything, get it out of the way, and blank 7 ends and score one in the 8th?
Back in the 70s and 80s, that was pretty much the way it was all the time. The Russian teams did tend to try to clear as much as they could. They actually had a player on their squad back when we played them. They carried 5 people for every tournament, and if they got ahead, their alternate was a hitter. So they'd pull their second, and they'd bring him in.
Big guy, right?
Like the closer, yeah. Drawn, I believe, was his name.
Did he have a walk-up song, too?
He should have. That's what we said. He needed Enter Sandman or something like that when he came in the game. Got some action in the 4-foot in this end now.
Yeah, lots of rocks in play. A little different than what we were seeing in the Purcell-Sampson matchup in the 3rd end there.
Yeah, now the chess match starts up again. This is all positioning for Shuster. Normally you say, well, they're up a few points. They need to play a little more conservatively, but with the way the rocks are set up, it's not really a situation where peeling anything off would help them. So lobbing a stone in front of those yellows. Good result there from Matt Hambledon, I believe. Now you're going to see a lot of these soft weight shots where you're just playing for position, trying to set up, if you're Team Polo, at least a 2-point end. If you're Team Shuster, if you can get a steal, great, but a force is a good situation for you too. Mellon's out-turn draw ends up a little short.
Yeah, Corey couldn't even get that one to the house. Surprising.
Yeah, a little trouble now for Team Polo. Only looking at one counter, but guarded up and Shuster throwing. You know they're going to try to improve their position here. a little conversation about if they want to try to get another in, maybe with an out-turn draw or tap, or just lock up another guard in the center, because that's probably the best option for Team Polo to try to get something in. So do you want to play a little more defensive and tap, and try to make it tougher for Polo to score more than one, or you throw the guard and try to play more aggressive for the steal? That's a decision for Shuster at this point. I don't think either shot's wrong. Shuster does elect to play the out-turn bump. Landsteiner trying to get this to curl a little bit for Plies. Line looks really good. That's very nice by Plies. So now Shuster sitting 2. And in really good position. Not a lot that Polo can do with these rocks where they're at. So I think you're going to see some granite moving around now. Joe's going to run that yellow center that Mellon threw up straight back to these red stones. Get him moving as much as he can.
Trying to mix up the house a little bit.
Still 4 rocks left for Polo and Dropkin to try to get things moving. Joey playing the in-turn run back.
Throwing some heat.
Gets them all moving. That's a great shot by Polo.
Clears 4 out of there. All of a sudden, completely different house.
Yeah, the only issue with that tap by Plies was the 2 counters were cornered on each other. So Polo able to make that run. He got action off of both stones, got him spinning a little bit. And even though one of them caught backing, it kicked off hard because of that rotation. Now all of a sudden, Polo sitting 1 and 3. Schuster's second count and having to play the tap again. So what looked like a secure situation, all of a sudden, now John a little bit on the defensive side again, needing to make this tap. Very quick service from the staff here at the Duluth Curling Club. Bringing libations down to the booth. Thank you, Courtney George. Wonderful job running the spiel this weekend as well. Courtney's first time running the Cashspiel. She's been all over the place, getting scores, setting the sheets up, taking care of any issues, which there have been very few of. I can attest that it's not just nepotism. I played in a lot of events. There's a lot of problems in Bonspiel, so.
It is Courtney Benson now, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I still can't say it. I got to say Benson enough during this broadcast already.
Yeah, I got a nice soda down here. That was quick.
Yeah, there's carbonation in these things.
Yeah, it counts as a pop, right? I mean, it's orange flavored.
It's a loser's bracket beverage. Like we wrecked the guard here, so rocking the top of the 8 foot fully exposed, and decision time again for Dropkin. They really want to remove that stone. It's a matter of where can we leave the shooter. I think it's tough to tell at this angle if they can get to the inside or not. If they can't, they just peel it out possibly or hit and roll to the outside. And then you're daring Shuster to play the hit and roll too. Corey clearing the path the way he is, it looks like they are trying to get to the inside. So going to get kind of tight to the guard. Soft weight hit for Polo. Try to roll in. Joe's second rock here. Rock took a little turn, jumped, over curls a hair, but still a pretty good result. Looks like it's under cover.
Notice a few times this weekend you take your broom up and they grab and snap. You got to keep that broom down the whole time.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a little sensitive especially on the shots like that where you think you're kind of on the middle of the stone, you're playing a roll, and as soon as the brooms pick up, just like you said, it just takes a jump.
Yeah, just like we were talking earlier about those, some run straight, so you feel like you can get off of it, but if you do, they're gone. And by the time you notice it, it's too late.
Yeah, I like the way the ice played, even with some tracks being a little different and on different lines on the sheet, because it rewarded good throws. Mm-hmm. You always like ice that punishes misses, kind of like, again, with the golf analogy, like the rough's a little bit thicker. So, it rewards good shot making, hitting the ball in the fairway. You don't get a ton of margin for error with the line on weight-sensitive shots like that one, where if you pop it a little bit, it's tough to get it to come back.
Brings out some of the best throwing and the best ice reading for sure. You got to be able to figure out where those straight paths are. Know when that break point is on the curl too.
So Schuster's first, trying to get the roll. Rolls to the back of the button. Looks mostly buried, but I think Dropkin can get to it. It's a matter if it plays back into the jam. I think Corey's not going to be real concerned about jamming on that back rock because he can still score 2, possibly 3, even just getting that stone out. So it's all a matter of where he leaves the shooter here. And I think they do have enough of that stone that they can play at least a bump and sit 2. And Corey's looking at if they played it thin, could they jam on the red rock that's just off the rings in the back, which would be a little bit of a trick shot.
He's got it in him.
Yeah. The way he's throwing them.
Yeah, try to get that one off the back 4 out from our right and jam on that one on the back left. Stick around as a biter. Well, they're talking about this. Quite a bit going on over here on sheet 8 as well. Lots of rocks in play.
We got a mess. That's what we like to see. Still 3 rocks left in the end as well.
Yeah.
Team Purcell with hammer. Sitting 2 already and throwing skips first.
They're chatting about it, so Corey's about to throw here.
Dropkin with the broom pretty tight here.
Do you think he's going for that skinny and jam?
I think he's considering just if he can peel it out, even if he doesn't jam, then it's better than leaving John something to freeze to and kill the end. So he's just playing a peel out.
It's a little wide.
And maybe get the stick on the back one. Almost did it too. Actually caught it too thin. Still sits 2, so mission accomplished for Dropkin. But if that curls another ½ inch, he might stick it on that back one and sit 3.
Objective done though. Clear
Yeah,
that
that's
rock out of the way, and
that's
if
the
it
main
sticks
objective.
around, it sticks around. Great, added bonus, right?
Yeah. He thinks his best chance of getting 3 is not to leave that freeze for Shuster to kill the end.
Yep.
So a little unorthodox, but I think I agree with the call. As long as he didn't think that he could play soft, miss the backing, and roll away, which I'm sure he would have if the opportunity was there. So that backing just was set in the wrong position for him to play some kind of hit to stick around. So Shuster now forced to play a draw, looking at 2 counters. Multiple guards to go underneath. He's got a pretty big area he can throw it to and get a decent result. If he buries this, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Dropkin play the run. It's like they're trying to go all the way back and bury as much as they can. I don't know if it curled enough that... Well, Corey doesn't seem to think he can get to nose.
Looks like a lightweight hit. I mean, they're curling enough that you can throw lightweight at it, and I think you can get it and stick around, can't you?
Boy, again, at this angle, difficult to tell, but when that rock came to a stop, I thought Corey would play the hack weight, try to get to nose of the stone, but they don't seem to think that they can get to nose. So if that's the case, then he'll probably play the same shot he just did.
Looks like a sliver might be poking out.
And it's all about if they think they can get to the nose of the stone. With that broom, it looks like maybe they are trying the just through the house type of weight. Joe's looking at the angles. Now they're thinking maybe they could get it over the top and stick around.
Are they going to throw what Shuster calls Dropkin weight? Dropkin dubbed space weight in between backline and hack there?
It might be if they're trying to go over the top, then they need to hit about a half a stone. So it'd probably be solid hack for that shot. So yeah, I think that would be that weight, yeah. So final stone of the 4th end of the semifinal matchup. Dropkin playing for at least a 2. Heard hack on a hand. Trying to hit about a half a rock. Needing it to curl. Gets it over the top. Does the shooter stay? Boy, that's a great shot by Corey Dropkin.
It's a good 3. So he can score with the hammer.
Yeah, Derek can shut up about it now. Fantastic team shot there from Dropkin. Shuster just needed to either bury that or get it back to that counter one way or the other. Kind of got stuck in the middle, and really good finesse shot there. Perfect weight control. Good read by the sweepers and the line call. You need all 4 players to make a shot like that, Jackson.
Yeah, absolutely. You heard hack right out of the hand, and good sweep out of Mellon there to get it to curl and catch the piece. So complete opposite of last end. No rocks in play. I think there's all but 2 rocks in play here for Sampson and Purcell.
Final stone for Ethan Sampson. Purcell with hammer and sitting 3. Sampson playing an in-off here, trying to roll into that pile.
Just a little too thick.
Yeah, catches it too thick. Doesn't roll far enough.
Give Purcell a draw for 4.
And Purcell will need to touch the 4-foot for a 4th point. He's just deciding which turn he wants to play.
Do you ever just try to throw it into that pocket of the red and the yellow top 4 there?
Yeah, it's whichever one he wants. The out-turn draw is there. The in-turn draw is there. Looks like the in-turn might be a little easier because they do have that pocket, like you mentioned.
A little bit. You don't play for the miss, but having that option is always nice.
Yeah, you have some margin for error. You can come to the nose of your own stone, it looks like, and you can come to the yellow and chip off that, and you're good either way. But not often you see a team have 7 stones in the house and give up a 4-point end.
It's yeah, you look at it like well played end, but a little Julius out of them.
So will be an in-turn draw, as you said, to that pocket. Just need to touch 4-foot for the 4th point, down by 1. We saw on this sheet 8 that this intern coming off the wall side, as we say on the end, ran a little straighter after he played a few draws on it. Pretty big area to throw this to, but if there's a miss on that side, usually it's on the wide side. This one looks like it's coming up just fine, though.
Yep.
Well executed. 4 times.
4 for
Team
Purcell.
Purcell. Leading now 5-2 after 4 ends of play in our other semifinal matchup. For 3, Polo leading over Shuster after that hack weight chisel by Corey Dropkin, and stick around for a 3rd point.
Shuster and Polo taking a look to see if it's on that center line. Right now.
Could see an early game tick possibly.
Well, you said Landsteiner is pretty damn good at it.
It's right in his wheelhouse. Just doesn't get to play him very often anymore with the new rules. So
Looks like they determined it is on the tick line, or on the center line there. So
possible they play this shot regardless, but
yeah,
and they know if they do end up clicking the guard, if it was already on the center line, then if they have to take it out of play or not. But Landsteiner playing southpaw intern, coming around the outside of these 2 yellow stones. Derek Benson with 2 up front to protect the center. That ends up right about on the tee line.
almost splitting it. No surprise that they can find that T-weight pretty easily. And didn't see what happened with Landsteiner's first rock, but it is out of play. I don't know.
Yeah, unusual for Landsteiner to have a complete miss to not have a rock in, but we'll say it picked without seeing it.
Or Hamilton implies burnt it. One of the two.
There you go. Probably burned.
Might have to pull up the cast and go check what happened.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to take the time to do that.
Seems like a lot of effort.
That's a lot of effort. So that come around by Mellon ends up a little short.
Uh-oh. Drop broom on sheet 8. Almost got in the way there.
Good save there to not burn the stone.
Zeman was quick.
So Hamilton throwing to the open side, setting up the old 0 or 2 type of end. This one looks like it needs to hit the brakes, though. Ends up still in the rings, but not a counter. Tough thing with that one, Jackson, is the way these rocks are set up, that stone likely never comes into play unless that yellow stone that's biting the 8s moves, and it's not really in a spot where it's accessible for Shuster. So kind of a straight-out miss there from Hamlin getting that deep.
Yeah, that back 12 in the rings, I don't see that coming into play all that often.
Yeah, it's a great shot if that yellow one wasn't in the house.
Yeah.
But
It's biting 12 maybe, but
not going to get much help out of that.
I think any type of shot that they try to play in that yellow, it stays in. I don't think you have enough of the rock to move it and stick around.
Polo thinking through this one. Looks like with the lead and this setup, they're going to try to open things up. See if Matt Mellon can throw the heater.
They
Clear some stones here.
trying to peel their own guards.
Yeah, the double peel could get some action, open things up. Could end up being a straight run. A couple good options you can get out of this.
Looks more like control weight here. Light hit.
Yeah, just trying to move things around. Ends up right on the nose and going through. I'm not sure which of those stones they were trying to bump because they were sweeping, but if it curled a little bit more, it actually would have made that tap. So
Corey did switch to try to get it moving a little bit more.
yeah, I think they were maybe originally trying to tap the other stone and just over curled.
You mentioned if Mellon has the heat, I play with Matt a lot, and he doesn't quite have the 5'8" peel weight that Corey does, but he can throw some decent heat out there, and he looks for every opportunity to throw it. We're on a 5 and under team together, and it's nice to have that peel weight shot in some of those situations. Most of those teams don't have it. When you need to move some granite, it's nice to have.
It is a weapon, no question about that. So 2 guards now sitting right next to each other, and Shuster electing to peel and open these up. So both teams not real sure how they want to play this end right now. John could go on the offensive and play for multiple points, but elects to try to open things up instead.
Gets rid of 2, but their shooter sticks around, still center guard.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised, Jackson, at that call, honestly. I thought with the 2 guards up and that rock in the top of the 8s, that John might put the pedal to the metal, play the intern draw, come around and sit 2. But really playing conservative here. And with especially 2 yellow stones in the house, besides his own, it's a really difficult end to try to blank. So usually once you get in that situation where you look at the house and you say, I don't see us clearing all these stones, I don't see a blank in play, then you figure out, how can I score 2 or more? And he had one in the 4-foot already, besides the rock in the back of the 12-foot. So definitely surprised to see him not play that intern draw.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that one in the 4-foot. Looking at the
It's hard to see it
looking
on
at
that,
the
yeah.
screen, it blends in. You gotta look live, real time, to see it. Oh, rock went into Derek Benson's foot there. Got in the way. I think it was gonna get out of the.
No
play
question
anyways,
to where
but
that one was going, yeah. So
just saved everybody some time for chasing a rock there.
yep. So a little mistake there from Polo. Wrecks the guard, and now
Yeah,
Shuster again, with the option to try to figure out how to score more than one.
Yeah, it looked like they were trying to play that run back, and the odd miss from Polo.
And both teams with a little struggle here in the 5th. But John says that they're sitting 1st and 3rd, meaning Polo sitting 2nd and 4th count. So a question of where do you place this stone? I would say the options are to try to throw the hit and roll off that top rock, sit 3, and then try to get your 2 from there. Or lob one to the open side. Looks like he may be throwing underneath that yellow again, which I'm a little surprised by too. Bunching up the counters as opposed to trying to spread them out.
Yeah, are they just trying to draw down to it? Or?
I think they're just drawing to their own and making Polo play the short run on their own stone. You can get them in a little trouble then, but even if they miss the run in that situation, it opens it up and you still have your counters bunched up.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought they'd play either away from it or hit and roll off the top one.
And for those wondering, we don't have microphones on these guys. The walls are that thin that's why it's so cold in here.
Yeah. That's the one upside.
Yeah, you can hear what they're talking about at least.
Ends up coming to the back of the 8-foot. Our second friend coming down to the booth for beverage service. Amy Kelly in the house now. Good to have friends in the club while you're sitting down here and doing the broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't even have to get up. My legs are going to fall asleep, I think. Might need to stand for a little bit, Tyler.
You know, I found yesterday that when I just sat for quite a while, my legs stiffened up like crazy from playing games. Getting old and not curling for a long time it's not a good combination. So run back here. Clears one of the red stones for Polo. Razor Rock rolls to the open side, so again, this will be rock placement for Shuster on where they want to leave this off of the hit. Plies playing the in-turn hit. They don't want to line up a triple here, Jackson, so roll very important.
Absolutely. And Dropkin can make those triples. I think he dreams about them quite often.
Curling a little bit, ends up nose. I don't think there's a triple there, so should be mission accomplished. I think that's right about where they want to hit it. Good shot by Plies. So Shuster sitting at least 2. I'm going to go with 2. I think that rock in the top of the 12-foot is third count, but it is very close.
Certainly looks like it. It looks like 2 to me. That 12-footer just, it might come into play. It's getting closer.
Still
and
could,
closer.
yeah. You can look like a fool in the broadcast booth very quickly, I can tell you that. Yeah, that's not going to help him. It's not a great spot. The back end. Oh, no, there's a counter. Okay.
It's going to be a pest.
It could be, yeah. And honestly, I was very surprised by how the end was played, kind of by both teams, but especially by Shuster with not getting more aggressive on that track and lobbing in when the guards were there. They elected to draw around a rock in the top of the 8-foot 2 shots later, but didn't draw around 2 guards. So it kind of been a little bit of a backwards end, and they still may end up scoring 2 or 3. Dropkin playing the in-turn hit, double and roll. Pretty good result there.
Yeah, that's going to be tough to get rid of and stick around.
See, we knew that rock wasn't going to come into play, right?
Just going to bite my tongue from now on.
Never going to be a counter. Didn't expect it to be doubled out to take it out of being a counter, though. So Dropkin now sitting 1 with that roll in front. So same situation for Shuster. Needs to remove that stone and try to roll to a good spot. They could tap that stone back and leave it as a jam stone, too.
Looks like somebody needs a water on that sheet, too. I see a green tab turn around. Green card.
Yeah, I could probably take 1 or 2 guesses as to who did that. For those that don't know, in the Duluth Curling Club, the card in the upper corner on the scoreboard has a white side and a green side. When it's flipped over to green, that means that they would like beverage service from the bar. Now, that may be Waters, it may not be. But I can tell you which team flipped the card. I can probably tell you which player.
And I can probably tell you what they're ordering.
Seen the drink cart get called over a few times on the course, too.
Couple times. Spent a lot of time with 3 of the guys on the sheet. So.
Yeah, we won't mention any names. But one of them's probably married to my sister. So, in turn, coming down the sheet now. Does look like they're playing the tap that we mentioned, Jackson. I like the call here.
Tap or freeze, either way, it seems pretty good. Little tap.
Yeah, it's
Not,
chipped off, though.
not quite to sit in
I like
two
the thought
here.
process there, but yeah, just didn't quite get on the line they want. If they tap that back a little bit, now you're forcing Polo to, or Dropkin throwing it, to probably play a freeze against a possible free. With that rolling open, I think Corey's just going to try to smoke both of those stones, and yeah, that broom's going right on the middle of the rock.
He didn't take long to decide.
No, that's
that.
not a tough call. That rock is open. The angles are set up well. You might lose your back one, but you're still going to have two in for a possible force, and then Shuster has to decide whether he wants to try to blank with a double or just draw and take his point if Corey makes this shot.
Yeah, that last throw from Schuster seemed to be kind of caught in the middle of needed to be a little bit heavier or a little bit lighter to freeze on it to set it up.
With that weight, it has to be on the correct line to get the tap. Thank you, Amy Kelly. Much appreciated. Final stone of the end for Corey Dropkin, playing intern peel weight, trying to clear both of these red counters. Don't think anybody's too surprised at that make. And sticks around, too. So
All of a
played it
sudden.
thick.
Forcing them. I don't see.
Yeah, that's a definite forced shot. We weren't sure if he was going to cross and roll out, but played to lose his backing and stick. If that curls another half an inch, that actually rolls to half buried under the rock in the top of the 12-foot too, and Schuster's probably drawing the button against 3 with 2 in the 4-foot. Instead, rock is wide open, so just about a nose hit for John. I don't think he has to make the double. I think he shot rock if he gets the nose.
I agree, yep.
So just an open hit for Schuster for his single.
Nose puts you full 4.
In turn hit, probably control weight from John. Final stone of the end. Landsteiner leaning on this one pretty good. Don't hear a lot of yelling, though. That usually is a good sign. And that's just fine.
Good shot. Force of 1.
Single for Schuster. So 4-4 after 5 ends of play in the main action, the semifinal. Back over on sheet 8. Bunch of rocks in play once again.
Yeah, Samson sitting shot right now.
While they're discussing, we'll take a second to thank our sponsors once again. Pickwick Restaurant and Bar, the Duluth Curling Club, your favorite liquor store, my favorite liquor store, George's Liquor on Arrowhead.
Best prices around.
Best service, best looking.
Absolutely.
Sammy's Pioneer.
Derek
Well, I'm
works
not
there.
there anymore. Oh,
Derek
that's right,
works there.
Derek's.
We're not going to go
Derek's
best
there a
looking.
lot. I forgot about that. Roscoe's Pioneer Bar, Lake Superior Dental, Dave Purdy's Joint, ladies and gentlemen, and our title sponsor, Broomfitters. Thanks one and all for supporting the tournament this weekend.
Yeah, any curling needs, I checked out Broomfitters. They were a sponsor of a spiel I played in earlier. Great website, great guys there. They had a couple representatives.
Absolutely.
Cool place. If you need to find a good dentist, absolutely look at Lake Superior Dental Associates.
If you fall and chip your tooth on a rock, go see Dave at Lake Superior Dental.
Happens all the time.
I might need to go find a good steak at Pickwick sometime this week, too.
Yeah, they're Jack Daniel's pork chop. Pretty good.
There you go. Now I'm hungry. Outturn tap. Attempt here from Purcell. Sampson sitting 1. Oh, might have come up just a hair short.
Looks just a hair short here. Samson still has 1 to throw. Looks like a draw to the 4-foot for 2.
Yeah, Sampson get right back in this game with the 2. This is a huge point here, Jackson. Big difference between down 1 without hammer and down 2 without hammer, playing the 6th end of the game.
Absolutely.
But a good look here. Needs to touch the 4-foot for a second point. Ethan Sampson. A long line of curlers in the Sampson family out of North Dakota. Owen and Ned Sampson. So Some of the best guys in the sport. That delivery looks awfully familiar, too. Fun young squad here. Thurston, Kleinis, Sampson, Zeman. Really as bright a future, I think, in the country for USA curling with these up-and-coming squads as we've seen in a while. I know the competition for an extended period seemed a little top-heavy, and now there's a bunch of young teams coming up that can compete at the men's and women's level already, and we're all really excited to see that.
Absolutely.
For those of us that have trouble getting out of bed after playing a couple games.
The old guard's definitely sticking around with, the Schusters and the Dropkins. Young Bucks aren't so young anymore. Can't really call them the Young Bucks.
Just
Let's
good
go
enough
overhead.
there for the second point.
Miss the overhead view for you guys, but looks like they got two.
Yeah, just curled enough at the end for that second point. So Purcell leads Sampson now 5-4. After 5 ends of play, Purcell will have hammer in the 6th end of action.
Yeah, Corey's team goes by the Young Bucks, and they're not really the Young Bucks in the
They're
curling
just
world
Bucks.
anymore. Yeah, got to change it to Bucks.
All these teams here playing for a few bucks this weekend at the Duluth Cashspiel. You got to throw some bad puns and dad jokes in the booth. It works, trust me.
I tell you what, the Cashspiel got me out of jury duty this week.
Hey, there we go. Was that the excuse you actually gave them? Was that you had to play in a curling tournament?
They asked, they said, we expect this to be done on Friday. Does anybody have any obligations? And I raised my hand. And yeah, they said, since there's money on the line, we're going to let you go. We
There
think
you
you'd
go.
be a little distracted.
Keep that in mind, folks. Play in the Duluth Cash. Get out of jury duty.
Just start curling.
Not that Jackson wasn't excited to fulfill his civic duty.
Oh, I wanted to be there. I'm still on next week. I hope I get called in on Tuesday so I can go and be a part of it.
Have you served before?
I have not. Honestly, I thought jury duty was a myth.
No, I've served twice, actually, and been called a third time and was excused from service because of work obligations. But yeah, it's a really interesting thing to be a part of, and you realize how important it is once you're there. And think, yeah, it's a big deal.
You're
that
changing
you're doing
lives.
this, yeah. But back to curling, anyways. I'm sure we'll talk about football before the end of the day too, with big playoff games coming up. But tight battle here, tied up after 5 ends of play. Shuster and Polo. Duluth Curling Club grudge match between these players. 7 of the 8 members of these teams, members of the Duluth Curling Club, guaranteed to have representation in the finals of our Spiel. If you're in the area, come on down and watch. I can guarantee you Jackson and I will be here, but not in the booth during the finals action.
Might have a drink in my hand.
Another water. Sounds good.
Gotta stay hydrated, Tyler.
So the all-important 6th end. Team Polo chasing a little bit right now. Just Jackson, so important in the 6th to score for
Absolutely.
Joe and Corey. If they can find a 2 somewhere, obviously that's the main goal. But you want to put a point up on the scoreboard this end. You take that 1-point lead to the 7th with 2 ends to play. So that type of situation, you're going to play a little more conservative. Just try to give yourself a chance for a 2 later in the end. Smart play to peel the center open.
Yeah, shocking that we haven't seen a blank out of either team. We saw an attempt at a blank, missed shot, but how important is controlling hammer in the even ends out here?
It's not really something you consider until you get to the 6th, I think. I mean, in the 4th, it's in the back of your mind, but I know when we played, it wasn't something we really strategized around. Like, we didn't play for position until we got to the last 4 ends of a game. So if you're playing a 10-end game, it's in your mind in the 6th, but you're not doing much about it until the 7th. And that 8th end is so key then in a 10 game. And the 6th end here
Absolutely.
in the Cashspiel, this is where you win or lose the game, really. At least set yourself up for it percentage-wise.
We've seen a lot of one-point games here, a couple extra ends. It's been tight competition all week. And no surprise that the Shuster Polo matchup is a tight one coming down the 6th.
Yeah, a small field here. With this time of year, with teams, especially Canadian teams, prepping for playdowns, already starting playdowns.
Grand Slam starting on Tuesday.
Slam coming up too. You know, it's a great opportunity for teams in the area to get high level competition. Even with the size of the field, it's extremely competitive in this tournament.
Lots of points on the line too.
Yeah, not a single game is a down game where you look at it and say, okay, well, this should be a W for us. You know, every single game in this tournament is competitive.
Absolutely. I want to say there's around 21 to 23 points on the line here.
Yeah, makes a big difference for teams for qualification purposes for their own country, for qualifying for other events going forward, for teams like Shuster, Dropkin, Moybrook, you know, trying to get points for future slams.
Yeah, it's so critical to get as many points as you can when you can. It's what top 16 are invited, and if somebody in the top 16 can, it goes to 17th. Is that how the slams work, Tyler?
Yeah. Depending on the field, it's usually 16 teams for the events, and it goes down the list to 17, 18 if teams aren't able to attend. Generally, you don't see too many teams turn down invitations just because the slams are as prestigious as they are and because of the number of points that are available there. So it's one of those things where if you're able to qualify and get into a slam and then get points there, make even the quarterfinals, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to give you enough points to get into the next one too. So getting in is the key.
Absolutely.
Then win a couple games when you're there. And we saw that this year with Delaney Strauss's team from the United States, who my sister Courtney coaches, that they got into one slam and managed to sneak into the other or there's a second one, because of the points they garnered this season with 2 wins and 2 runners-up on tour already before that first slam, and then winning a couple games in the second slam they played in got them into a third one, which will be this upcoming week. So even winning a couple games there, sometimes the same as making a final in an event like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Corey Dropkin will be heading out. I think they're in Red Deer this week.
Yep, Red Deer, Alberta.
So
That's correct.
He's probably leaving tonight or tomorrow, joining his men's team up there. Doing that. Is Shuster going? Are they in that one?
I don't believe John's team is in that one. Danny Casper actually is playing in his first slam from the United States by virtue of winning the Tier 2 in a... I forget the name of the slam, the Tour Challenge.
Yeah.
Earlier this season.
Yeah, they were signed up for this weekend and elected to drop out due to lots of curling coming up here.
Yeah, just getting rested and ready for that slam is huge. They're first.
Yeah.
Tough group for those guys. I looked at their bracket with Bruce Mowat, Joel Retornaz, Kevin Cooey, and Matt Dunstone. So welcome to the big circuit, boys.
No kidding.
It'll be fun to watch those guys and Team Strauss as well up at that event.
Yeah, Dropkin, Peterson team on the women's side as well. They'll be up there. Strauss, Casper. Be fun to see. If you're bored at work, throw it on an extra screen. They play all week, starting on Tuesday.
I'm looking up the Grand Slam field to make sure of which of our teams will be there, so we're giving you proper information going in. The Canadian Open, Red Deer, Alberta. On the men's side, yes, we do have Team Casper and Team Dropkin in that field. On the women's side, Team Peterson, Team Strauss, both representing the United States. So 4 U.S. teams competing in the Slam this upcoming week. That'll be a lot of fun to watch.
And is Courtney going up for that one?
Courtney will be there with Team Strauss.
Couple Duluth representatives up there.
There we go.
That's
what
a
we
few,
like
I
to
should
see.
say, actually.
Kind of a staggered port the wrong way here for
I saw him put
Shuster
a broom
looking
down
at
on
that.
top of that yellow. I don't know if they're trying for the freeze or what they're looking at here.
With that broom, it looks like they're playing the in-turn draw through the port with the rock staggered the way they are. They could possibly be just throwing a second guard. But with this way, it looks like they are trying to come through the hole. Do not want to wreck that guard.
Looks like they're going to.
Oh, and it does. But it
Opportunity
does
here.
end up rolling over for a second guard. Kind of staggered those off a little bit. Maybe a little sweeping error there, I think, on the line. Might still be difficult to get to that red stone in the back of the forefoot for Polo. Corey Dropkin's first stone here in the 6th end. Again, Jackson, we said how important it is to score here in the 6th.
Schuster not making it easy on him. Gives him an opportunity here to... Is it a freeze a good shot here, Tyler?
That's, again, with the angle, it's hard to tell if they can move that.
If you can just get close to it, I guess. Or
Corey's looking to see if maybe they need to just clear this open and try to give themselves a better look at scoring on their last.
yeah, I was just checking how much space was between those two rocks, see if they can get them both going. Looks like that's the call here.
And they're definitely both going to move. He's trying to figure out if that guard goes underneath the other yellow guard, too.
Or if it
If
jams.
there's enough space, it should. Again, main objective here, and you're playing this end even differently than you would the 4th end because of how important it is to put 1 point up here.
As much as you hate scoring one with hammer, it's that important.
It's, extremely important here to score. Starting the end, I mean, obviously you're playing for 2, but you're pretty happy putting up a point, taking that 1 point lead to the 7th end. So Dropkin playing the double peel, trying to open things up. Doesn't look to be any problem here. Does go underneath that stone.
So the goal is score 1, hope to force in the 7th, be tied with the hammer. Come down the
if
8th.
you force, great. Take 1 or steal 1's great. You're just trying to stay away from giving up 2 or more or allowing the blank. If somebody scores 1 in the 7th end, if you're up by a point, you're happy. And usually that's a better position to be in, being the team that's up that point in the 7th. The percentages say in general, and I'm going to guess a little bit on it, but playing the final end, even let's say they do get the blank, the percentages say the team without hammer up by a point in the final end is somewhere around 58% to win the game.
Okay.
So you have 3 different outcomes, really, if you take a point in the 6th end that are good results for your team. If you steal, you're obviously in a much higher percentage position. If you give up 1 or force, then you're tied up with hammer, obviously high percentage of winning the game. And even if you give up the blank, you're still higher than 50% to win the game. So that's why this point is so important to take in the 6th end, regardless of how many you score. And if you are able to get that 2 somehow, then
Even better.
all of a sudden, your percentages are up higher than 80% to win the game.
I like those odds.
Yeah. Over 80 is a good number, but yeah, again, it's just so important to get this point if you can. So Schuster's going to do everything he can to try to get this steal and put himself in that position instead. So he's just guarding the 1 and kind of making the single point a tough shot. I don't know that there's an out-turn draw to score, so he's got to come with that in-turn the wrong way through the port that John was trying to do earlier. Similar shot.
Crashed on that guard.
Right.
And it's still there. Didn't move that guard much out of the way.
No, it's definitely still a tricky draw. It's one that you got to make sure you got plenty of rotation on to take a little bit of the curl out of it.
Yeah, we were getting 4 to 5 feet of curl all week on a draw, so it's definitely a nuisance there. They're throwing Broom down inside edge of 4 here. Throwing heavy draw weight, try to use that red as backing here.
Curious
Tyler?
if they think they can. It might be poking out a little bit to maybe play heavy draw and move that out of the 4-foot for 2.
And we're looking at the same angle you guys are here, so we don't have much more insight on this.
It's way too far to get up and go behind the sheet to look at it, so
Yeah,
we're staying right here.
I'm not that overzealous here.
So could be a possible tap for 2 for Dropkin. And it might be one of those, Jackson, where, again, you're putting the solid rotation on it, but maybe you're throwing it to tee and sweeping for tap if the line is there, which is the type of shot we see a lot in these situations where it's so important to score. But you tell the sweepers, okay, we're playing to tee, but if the line is there, we're going to hammer it and try to move that rock far enough for that second point. I like the line coming down.
Clean call the whole way so far. Curling a little bit now.
Yeah, it's kind of hanging.
Oh, it just hung out there. We talked about those straight lines on that.
Yeah, that's just way too much weight for that shot there. And again, weight sensitive, yep.
I was kind of shocked that looked like Hackett, at least, almost bored.
Yeah, I'm really surprised he played that type of weight at that shot. Maybe there was a little more than what we could, or maybe more showing than what we thought. But even at that, I mean, all you really need to do is move that rock 4 or 5 inches for your second point. And again, scoring is so important in that situation. So I think Corey just overthrew it. I think he was trying to throw a lot less than what he had.
Yeah.
So a steal for Shuster. Goes up 5-4 to the 7th end. Over back on sheet 8 for Purcell and Sampson. Nice draw by Purcell to the top of the 4-foot. Sitting 2 with hammer up by a point, 5-4. Sampson's final stone coming up. Needs to figure out a way to get shot rock.
You don't have a run on that yellow on your own there. It's going to be tough to get into that pocket to move 2 red stones in the top 4.
Yeah, the only way to get shot really is to play it wide out turn to the back of the 4-foot, and that's really difficult. So Sampson electing to just peel this rock out and make Purcell draw for a second point. Not the ideal situation, obviously. He just threw the draw, so a decent chance that Purcell makes it again.
And again, the score here is 5-4 in favor of Purcell.
So best case scenario for Sampson, if this shot is made, is down 2 with playing the 7th. He's going to be hoping for a miss on the last by Purcell.
Good peel there. No need for sweepers. Broom down quick for Purcell. He knows the shot. Just threw it, like Tyler said.
Team Purcell. Owen Purcell at skip. Ryan Abraham at third. Good buddy Scott Zachary at second. Adam McCarron at lead. Solid season for this team. 30th overall in year-to-date rankings. It's no joke to get into the top 30 on tour. So we thank these guys for coming down, supporting the event. Looking like maybe they're zeroing in on a little more cash with a victory here. Final shot for Owen Purcell. Just looking to get the side of the 4-foot for a second point. Sweepers keeping it moving, but they like the weight. Looks like just enough for that second point. Well thrown, well swept.
Great shot.
Scotty a little red-faced after that one.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. So 7-4, Purcell leads Sampson after 6 ends. Sampson will have hammer in the 7th. Going to need to get a multiple point end to get back in that one.
Yeah, and then hope you can steal again. Jump back over to the featured matchup here. Second stone's coming out. Looks like Mellon's first.
Apologies to the lefty lead matchup there. It's kind of like a regular broadcast where you skip over lead stones. But we do want to give you as much of this other game as we can, too. The timing's worked out pretty well to get skip stones following that other end, almost like we planned it that way.
The delayed start was nice. We could get to both, and then they had that blank opportunity where blanks go pretty quick and catch you up to the other sheet pretty fast.
That's like the NFL game staggering the 3:05 and 3:25 starts.
A lot more action in curling, though. You know, in football, it takes about 3.5 hours, and you see 12 minutes of actual plays.
Yeah, that's true. You get way more bang for your buck with curling. The plays last a lot longer.
Might not
usually
be as exciting for some people, but
yeah, some would beg to differ. We're lucky enough we'll be watching both today.
Yeah. We knew football would come out at some point.
Yeah, we won't go into analysis or anything. We got 2 games to cover here, but will be a fun day of sports here at the Duluth Curling Club. And for those of you with multiple screens, I would imagine there's a lot of curlers with football and curling going on in their living rooms today. And we thank you for watching. So 7th end, Polo and Shuster. Shuster leads 5-4, Polo with hammer. John with a big steal in the 6th end after a little miscue by Dropkin on his last with a possible opportunity for a 2.
You need at least 2 here if you're Polo, right?
Now, this is a 0 or 2 end
0-2.
for Joe. Yeah, he's...
I guess blanking wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Come down, hammer down 1.
Blank is a very good result. Scoring 2 is a good result. And the percentages we talked about earlier, too, Jackson, that 58-42 or somewhere in that range for being up 1 without hammer or down 1 with, that still varies from team to team. And I can guarantee you John Shuster knows their percentages in these situations.
Absolutely.
If they, their results on tour, whether they're better up 1 without or down 1 with. I know when I played with them that it was up 1 without was a way better situation for us, even though we always thought we were better down 1 with until we looked at the numbers. It's amazing what you realize about your team when you actually look at the results, and they have enough games together that the sample size is big enough to know. Now, for Corey playing this weekend with Joe and Matt and Derek, it's more reading your team just for one weekend. What situation do we think we're going to be better in? If Corey was playing with his regular men's team, he'd have a very good idea of which position he'd rather be in. But it's not the same for every team. That 42% might not be where other elite teams are at. They might say, yeah, we are better down by 1. We are better when we're trying to score 2 points than defending. But the percentages are where they are for a reason. That 58% means the vast majority of teams win more games up by 1 without hammer than down 1 with playing the last end.
Yeah, and to your point, it's Corey has played a lot of games with Joe Polo. He's played a lot of games with Mellon. He's played a number of games with Benson, but never together.
Right. Just misses the bonus run back there for Polo. So only 1 rock in the house. So blank is definitely still on the minds of Corey Dropkin and Joe Polo here. And really for Shuster, if they could get a cheap steal, it's fine, but they're every bit as happy with forcing to a point. So the main objective here is stay away from the blank. That's the biggest thing.
Stay away from the blank and stay away from giving up 2.
Yeah, and even the 2 isn't awful for them. So they'll be willing to play a little more aggressive so that there's a better chance that somebody's scoring as opposed to playing more conservative and giving the chance for the blank.
And from when you played, the team hasn't changed up that much. Shouldn't say replaced. You went into retirement.
You have to replace retired people.
Chris came in, and so I wonder how much that changes. Just it's not like it's a whole new team for Shuster. Those percentages probably don't change that much.
Yeah, the game that John calls probably is a little different now with this squad than when I was playing. I don't think that the percentages of how they play those last 2 ends are a lot different. I think John still probably is going to prefer to be up by a point without. Stylistically, how they play these ends is probably more different than if they opted to go for one score or the other.
Right. So if that percentage is relatively the same, a blank isn't all that bad. Because you were saying your percentages were better.
Yeah, they're not
being up 1 without.
They won't be unhappy, like really unhappy with a blank, but
it's not ideal.
But if you have multiple rocks in play, then there's a way better chance that somebody's scoring 1 point. Mm-hmm. And that's a good thing.
Yep. 1 point either way is fantastic.
Yeah, and if you play it wide open, then it's almost assuredly a blank.
Mm-hmm.
So that option is then off the table.
And surprising, all those guards are Polo.
Yeah, a couple on the corner, now one in the center after they just played a run back on a red Schuster Stone. But good opportunity now for John to either get the steal or the force.
Yeah, throw a second underneath those guards. It's going to be tough to clear them both out.
Yeah, this would be a much different situation here if Polo made that run and the raised rock, the red stone, would have gotten out of the house. John would still be playing the draw around, but then you're only playing to one stone, so you can play a little more aggressively at the blank. Now, it's pretty likely that if this ends up somewhere that doesn't leave a double, that Corey will have to try to figure out if there's some way he can score 2. Because the last thing he wants is to get forced to a point.
Absolutely.
So come around draw by Shuster to the side of the 4-foot. Decision time again for Dropkin. If you follow, try to figure out a way to get 2 or play that slash double and hope that John leaves him a shot for a blank on his last. Also looking at a possible run back. Pretty good draw there from Shuster. Looks like that's just above the tee line, so Corey would actually have to move that stone to get shot. If they did play the freeze, they may have a run back on their last for 2.
Looks like they're looking at the run back right now.
Yeah, this is an interesting call because if you don't stick the run, you're pretty much assuredly forced.
It's room for a lot of weight.
Yeah, and the broom is almost inside of no, so it's possible Corey's trying to play the run double. If it crosses just a hair, I mean, sticking the run is the ideal situation, but
I think the in-turn is the run back. Just the straight run back. The throw that broom with the out turn, look, maybe the double?
Yeah, if it's the in, yeah, he's probably trying to stick the straight run.
He's throwing the out turns.
He is playing the run
And
double.
he got it. What a shot.
Does it stick around for a biter? Oh, spins off.
Force and play, though.
Incredible shot by Corey Dropkin.
What a
anyways.
shot.
So we did see it right. The
Yeah.
broom was inside the nose, so he's playing the run double.
It was just, what turn is he throwing?
Yeah. That's a fantastic shot by Dropkin. Still a chance to force for Shuster. Does have 2 guards in play. No yellows in the house. And it would have been interesting to see if that rock did stay for a biter, if John would have elected to play the hit or the draw. Because he could still force with the draw, and his worst case scenario, if he has a half miss of some kind, is to give up a 2, still be down by 1. But
Down by
forcing Corey to a single point would have been his best case scenario. Then tied up with Hammer, your percentages skyrocket. So I would have been curious to see what John would have called. He also could have hit and rolled in off of that outside counter, which is the most likely thing, I think. But out-turn draw for Shuster. Trying to bury this and make the blank difficult for Dropkin. I think you probably see him take this to back 4. Get as much distance between that rock and the guards as possible. That's exactly where he goes.
It's like you've seen him play a game or two.
Yeah, well, John knows that going into that shot. That's Corey's best result here now is the blank. And the only way you're blanking if it's buried is playing the run, which he's still going to do. So if that's the case, it really doesn't matter how close you are to the button. As long as it's buried, you're just trying to make his run as tough as possible. So for those thinking, well, why didn't they leave it closer to the button? Because it really makes no difference because Corey's playing the run back anyways. And a rock that's higher up makes that run easier. So Dropkin now, in order to blank, has to make this run and have his raised rock roll out. If it ends up sticking, taking 1, Shuster takes Hammer with a very high percentage winning the game. If he misses the run, Shuster steals a point, goes up 2, very high percentage to win. So the only way Dropkin keeps the percentages at least close on his side in the low to mid 40s would be to make the run back and roll out for the blank. And here is the final stone. In-turn run for Dropkin. Sweepers are on it.
Lots of yelling going on. He made it.
And
What a
makes it
shot.
for the blank.
Wow.
Incredible
Turn that end
shooting
around.
by Corey Dropkin.
2 great shots out of him. No surprise.
That is high-level stuff right there. Not just to make the run, but to roll off and making the run double on the previous shot. That's one you just tip your cap if you're Shuster.
Absolutely.
You know, it changes throughout the season, Jackson, but I think just from watching this weekend and, you know, recently, like he's the best shooter in the United States right now.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that, you know, overall he's the best player. You know, until somebody beats John, they're the team to beat, and he's the guy. But just watching the way Corey's throwing the rock right now with that type of confidence, making these shots consistently, I mean, it'd be silly to say otherwise.
And how much is this, you know, if they can pull out a win here and have a good weekend, make the finals, maybe win the finals as well here, going and then leave tomorrow for Red Deer? What does that do to confidence there?
Yeah, I mean, throwing him the way he is, playing consistently like that, making those types of shots, I mean, it matters so much for him, even though he's not playing with his team.
Yeah.
To have that type of rhythm going in. Because I would much rather play this weekend, have a day off, and then go into a slam like that if I'm going to play like that.
Mm-hmm.
Make
Absolutely.
those types of shots.
And I don't think it's going to make Corey tired. If he wasn't out here, he'd be in the gym for 4 hours a day anyways.
Yeah.
So
No.
what's the difference?
Yeah.
Might as well get some practice
He'd be
in.
sweating somewhere, so it doesn't matter. But that's as high level as it gets there. That's fantastic stuff from Corey Dropkin. And now we get the most exciting end in curling.
Absolutely.
Team down 1 with the hammer.
Not to skip over lead stones again, but let's check in on the action over here on sheet 8. Quick above view here. Purcell sitting 1 with a biter.
Whole bunch of shrapnel.
Sampson, 4 biters right now.
Maybe some life here for Team Sampson, all depending on if that red biter on the outside is out counting any of those yellow stones. It looks like Sampson's at least second and third.
I would agree.
Possibly
Second and third,
even
maybe
fourth.
Even fourth, yeah.
I don't know that the top biter is, but again, the overhead view not always accurate. So I think we can safely say he's sitting second and third, and then possibly fourth. Not sure about fifth. This is only Ethan's first stone. So we got to try to figure out where they can hit that red rock. And it looks like, Jackson, you can hit it probably about 2/3. Poke it through the hole in the back and then roll under the corner. And then you're forcing them to play that same draw underneath again.
Yeah, I'm sitting dead center line here on sheet 8. And it almost looks like even with a lightweight hit, you can get inside nose and roll a touch under.
Well, if they think they can get inside, then that's probably the shot.
You have over 3/4 of the rock from here. I'm not in their hack, but on the center line, you have about 3/4.
Yeah, you have to cross it even a half an inch to miss that back stone, probably. But if they don't think they can get there, they definitely can hit 2/3 and have it go between those stones in the back.
Get it removed and be sitting 1, 2, possibly 3. Just a bunch of biters.
Obviously, the boy's very nervous. Jake Zeman playing some peekaboo with us in the booth as they're right in front of us.
Trying to keep things light and easy out there.
That's a good sign. It is a game. It is supposed to be fun. We forget that sometimes. I don't think Jake has an issue with that, though.
No, he's a pretty level-headed kid.
So Ethan Sampson's first out turn. Looks like hack weight, solid hack. See if they do try to get to inside or if they're just trying to poke it through the hole in the back. Right now, it looks like they're trying to get in. Really getting it to turn over. Will it miss the back one? It does. What a shot.
Sitting 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 now.
Great touch from Ethan Sampson there.
Great throw.
A little bit of a knee knocker now for Team Purcell.
Definitely makes you think a little bit, huh?
I don't think they were expecting to be looking at this many yellow counters going into this end up 3. Interesting decision now. They almost, it's tough to think about throwing the draw because where that stone is for Sampson, it's just a short run in. You have to consider freezing to the number 1 counter, but it's hard to get there because of where the guards are. Now they're looking at maybe drawing back 8 and trying to overbury. Not a lot of good spots here, though, Jackson.
I don't have a skip's mind. That being said, I have no idea what the hell I'd do.
Yeah, whatever position you play, I don't think you're happy looking at it. That's for sure.
I know the 3 S's of throwing front end.
So now looking at maybe freezing on that rock in the back 12, I think that's probably the best shot. There is a chance there's an in-off their own stone in the back to clear that too. But it's probably your best chance of forcing the 2, which would be a big victory. Up 1 with, and you got a great chance of winning the game. So
definitely have to play the scoreboard a little bit here too.
Yep, smart thinking here by Team Purcell. Not concerned about giving up 2, knowing that with a 3-point lead, very good chance of winning the game still by giving up 2.
Does look like they're electing to go with that draw to the freeze to the one in the back there.
Yeah, it needs to be
draw to the back 8.
Needs to be placed well too, because even a draw to the back of the house, it is possible there's an in-off of that red stone that's biting to play a cross-house double for a pile. And if you're Team Sampson, if you get any kind of look at a shot like that, you have to play it.
Have to go for it at this point. Down 3 in the 7th. You
Yep.
got to try to at least tie it up or get a lead, right? If the opportunity presents itself.
In-turn freeze attempt for Owen Purcell. Trying to get to this back stone. They like the line. Turning over hard now. Really tight to that top stone. Oh, I don't know if that picked or what, but that took a hard turn.
Just crashed. Give you the overhead view here. For sure, if they can get rid of that red, they'd have at least 5 counters, I think.
Yeah, it looks like, and there's plenty of space. You can't really tell from the overhead, but you can easily get to the inside of that stone, so it's just a matter of where you need to hit it in order to not wreck on the back. So
Yeah, this is hammer here. Final stone of the end.
I don't think dead nose is good enough.
I think you need to roll a little bit either way.
Yeah, I think he might be just firing it and trying to hit it just off nose.
Just off nose through that gap here in the back.
Especially if they think that
yellows.
that stone that's biting back there isn't a counter. If the red biter's out counting it, then you're okay with losing that back yellow too.
Absolutely, if that. So this is a shot for 5, maybe 6.
Looks like, yeah, it could be as many as 5 or 6.
This could really turn the game.
With the overhead, we don't know, but we're going to find out shortly. So final stone of the 7th end. Ethan Sampson playing firm weight. Trying to hit this thick on the inside.
Sweeping hard.
Well, he played it to the outside, actually, of the stone, but
Might have been a slight miss. It looks like 4 for sure, maybe 5.
yeah, that looks like we're going to say 4 for now. They're kicking them all
they
out.
kicked them all
Could
out.
be 5. We'll wait and see what score they hang, but we'll skip back over to the main game, and as soon as they hang that score, we'll let you know. They're going right to the scoreboard,
For 5.
and that was 5.
9-7 lead for Sampson, coming down 8. What an end. Couple great shots out of Ethan there.
Half an inch from 6.
Oh, jeez, man. A big Julius would have been nice for him.
Julius is pretty good.
But still, Julius, I think they'll settle for it.
So 9-7, Sampson leads Purcell now after 7 ends of action.
What do we got going on here? Polo Shuster.
Feature game once again. Schuster sitting shot rock.
Looks
Polo
like it
just
just a little
above.
bit lined up, though. They're not going to play it now, obviously.
A yellow counter in the side of the 8-foot as well.
If you ever play that red, yellow, red, if you're Polo, you're still only sitting 1.
I'm talking about throwing a guard. And really, Jackson, in this situation, you're on second stone still, I believe. Matt's second. You're trying to make Polo waste a couple shots before you get to skip stones. But with the way they're lined up, both of those reds could go pretty easily. So they got to be a little cautious.
I guess you hit that top red on either side of nose, you probably spill that off the yellow. The yellow still runs into that back red, and you'll get both. Sit 2. So how do you make it tougher?
Yeah, they're thinking that they want to guard for now. And the reason being you'd rather have your opponent be the one that has to move those stones. If you're the first to move them and losing your own counter, then you're letting them go on the offensive.
Yep.
At least if you throw a guard up here, then they may play the run, but at least they're running your rock in.
Mm-hmm. It's always good when they have to run your rock into the house.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, you're just trying to make them waste a few stones right now. And if you're Schuster, you can always bail. and hit later in the end. You still have 5 rocks left to throw.
How much differently do you play an end like this if you're Shuster? Do you play it like normal, or do you be pretty defensive?
You're always playing force first, steal second. If you don't have any danger, then you can push for the steal. But again, playing percentages, you're staying away from giving up the 2 because obviously you lose the game. But forcing the 1, you have a really strong chance of winning, obviously, in the extra end.
Absolutely.
So actually, this is Chris's first, so couldn't really tell how many rocks they had left when we switched back. But we're on third stones now. I still think they are going to play the hit. I thought they'd throw one more guard first, but they're going to try to, I think, slash the outside of this red and lose both yellows. So again, a little conservative call, but that's the way you always lean in these situations, up by 1 without. A lot of weight here from Plies. Only gets 1. So Schuster's still sitting 1, but now, see again, being the team to move those around now, they've allowed Polo to play more aggressive. If they make that shot, it does change things around a little bit. Both yellows are gone. But even if that was the case, that red stone, if you hit it where he wanted to, would probably be gone.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be nothing in play if he hit that exactly where he wanted to. And then Polo gets to draw around and be the aggressor again. So, John and I didn't disagree very much when we played together. That's a couple times in this game I wasn't real sure about the call. And I think a guard there probably to make him waste 1 or run your rock back would have been a better call. Even if Chris makes that shot, I don't know that it's a really great result for him.
Yeah. The odd disagreement between John Shuster and Tyler George here.
That was
times.
That's the great thing about playing with John is we disagreed so seldom. We were on the same page all the time. But
It's always fun to have a skip and a third where you're on the same page. You're not conflicting. Makes shot calling a lot easier.
It really does, yeah.
Makes the game go by faster, too. You're not sitting there for 10 minutes trying to figure out what to do
We didn't
every
usually
shot.
have much trouble with clock, I can tell you that. So Polo playing the out-turn hit.
Lightweight hit. Not much weight.
Probably trying to
stick
roll
around,
this as
roll
far as
over,
they can. Maybe all the way over to the opposite side of the house.
Split it up a little bit.
Didn't want to roll out, though.
Doesn't clear the red and rolls out his own.
Yeah, that's a missed opportunity there for Joe. If they roll that to the far side and split the house up, then 2 is looking promising now. The one break they caught with that is that red stone sticking around in the back of the house actually plays for a jam for Schuster and kind of makes if they were going to play a hit and roll, then it's a little more dicey.
Around, yeah. There's no way those French fries stayed warm down here.
I forgot they were there, honestly. Actually, Manstetter gave those to me when he was done with them, so.
What a guy.
Yeah. So they've been sitting there for like 2 hours. That thing wasn't sitting there for 2 hours, though.
Good thing there's another. I gotta run.
Schuster playing the inside out in-turn hit, trying to avoid the backing. Roll center under the guards if possible. Probably board weight somewhere in there for Plies, maybe control. Well, actually, just playing the draw, my mistake. That broom looked like they were playing the hit, but taking a tight broom, coming underneath the guards, trying to get to the 4 foot. Doesn't quite get there for shot rock, so now opportunity for Polo to either hit and roll open or draw underneath. Looks like they still have a lot of that stone. Not a lot of good places to throw the draw. Actually looking to roll all the way out wide. Getting to nose of this stone if they could, or leaving on the center line wouldn't be too bad either. So Polo playing control weight, board weight, somewhere in there. Trying to clear this red and roll open. As much of it as they could hit. If they could ever stay on the center line, they're in great shape.
Definitely don't want to give the opportunity for a double here.
Yeah, they roll it all the way open side. The thinking being, even if you leave the double for Shuster, you can draw under the guards and try to get two with your last two stones. So based on how they played that, they probably weren't able to see enough to get to nose of the stone.
So giving up the double is okay here.
Yeah, the thinking being we don't have to score with either of these two. But it's no gimme with where they left it either. It's kind of a wonky stagger. John's looking at possibly trying to make the double and spin the shooter under the center.
And then Dropkin's looking for a classic skips deuce to win the game. At least a skips one to force an extra.
Yeah, he's made John play to these two, and John could play the draw again if he wants to try to win the game now. Looks like they're thinking a little more about it. He did just elect to draw on the previous shot.
That signal looks like they're trying to clear him out.
So they have decided on the double. And if he can get action on the shooter to spin to the middle, that's the ideal shot, but very difficult.
Do you have to throw some more rotations to get that to spin up?
It should kick up regardless at this angle, yeah. I don't think you have to throw anything different. There's the spin. Rolls all the way to the open. Nice try there, though. That's a really tough shot to try to.
So now if you're Dropkin, do you draw under top four?
Yep.
Under those guards?
Oh, yeah. No question here. This would be an easy call for Corey. Drawing probably either full four, half in the 4 foot. You don't want to go so deep that they can follow and freeze, and your 2 is difficult.
Yeah, don't want to give them room. Yeah.
There's a decent chance if he makes this really good to top 4 is that John plays the run back. Because you might not have a whole lot of space to draw to. A freeze on a rock in the top of 4s is no good because Corey is a second draw to win the game. So it's all placement now. If you're Corey, you really want this rock top 4 foot, no deeper.
You gotta try to throw it to biting 8 or top 12 and let the sweepers take over here. So a lot of trust in Mellon and Benson here to one, judge the weight right and be able to sweep it to the right spot.
Yeah, if it's top 8 foot, then Shuster will very likely draw around it. If it's top button, Shuster will freeze to it. So it needs to be top 4. First stone of this 8th end, possibly final end of the semifinal. Out-turn draw for Corey Dropkin. Mellon trying to get this to curl. That line must be really straight where they put the broom and
half
where this is
foot
going.
To try to, it must be really straight.
Line's getting a lot better, but got to get shot rock.
Just
Not sure. Did it? Joe put the broom up, so it is shot rock. But now, interesting to see how much can Shuster see of that rock So there is a jam in the back on the right side. Is it worth playing the hit as opposed to coming around that rock? And Jackson, I think both teams are a little bit wary of playing the draw because of how straight it looks like that line is running.
I was going to mention something about where he put that broom, half in the 4.
Yeah.
We've
Just running.
Like I said earlier, we've been seeing 4 to 5 feet of curl all weekend, and
the same thing with Schuster's Schuster's draw on Plies' draw on third stones stayed open too, didn't bury, and that one got to the 8 foot.
now we have seen some straight paths out here this weekend too. I don't know if that's just a really straight path there.
I don't know that
Or
we
if
saw
it's
one
just a
that
little out.
straight.
Yeah.
That's really straight, but yeah, there have been some tracks that have run.
Especially with top 12 weight for that to only move, 2 feet with sweeping for curl. It's shocking.
Yeah, unfortunate there that the weight just wasn't there. I mean, the sweepers were on that one real early too, but just a little light out of hands. And if they carry that down to the top of the 4 foot, great chance of winning the game. Now, Schuster just trying to peel this out. Must have a pretty good piece of it to play this type of weight. Looks to be just fine. Gets enough of it to avoid the backing, so Dropkin forced to draw for a single point.
Draw to just full paint here.
Yeah, that's
Force
a good.
and going to an extra end.
That's a good 2 feet less than what we've been seeing for Broom for these draws all weekend.
Practice stones, I was throwing edge 8, getting it back to center line all
we
week.
we didn't have a game
all
where we were
game,
taking less than that, I don't think. So definitely a little surprised to see a path run that straight.
Yeah, you'd think that going to edge 4 here brings in those guards with what we've been seeing, but obviously it's different.
So final stone of the 8th. Corey Dropkin needing full 12 foot to get to extra end. Benson and Mellon keeping it moving.
Weight looks all there.
Everything looks to be just fine there.
Oh,
Just coming out to help clean it and
just so you can say he
Yeah.
helped on that one.
didn't waste any space with it.
No, I've seen him do that one other time this week too. He had a draw for all he had to do was touch paint. I think he got biting an inch in the 7th end. Another game. So we get some bonus curling here in semifinals. We get Shuster Polo matchup.
And now with a 9-7 game again. Purcell and Sampson over here on sheet 8. Down to Skip Stones.
Big sweep there for Samson. I think their front end is a little tired after that one. Give you a quick overhead view here so you can see what's going on in the house. Samson sitting 1 and 3. Pretty buried. Tough to get that shot rock out. Looking at this yellow, red, yellow run back to sit 2 for Purcell. Lots of thinking going on here. It's obviously a tough spot. Down 2 in the last. Need to score at least 2, ideally 3. Keep the game going.
That looks like that is dead lined up to that rock in the top of the 4-foot for Team Sampson. Yellow-red raised combination.
Yeah, that's what they're looking at. They've been talking about it, but that was their initial thought. Can you miss this one? With hitting that yellow rock?
I don't know if you can miss contact with it. It's just a matter of where you hit it, how much of that yellow you hit. It's kind of angled to the inside half of it, which is good for Team Purcell. Not playing it with a ton of weight because they want that rock to stick around. Stick's dead buried underneath.
They get to sit in 2.
That's one of those you feel fortunate because it's a lot easier than it looks. You hit that almost anywhere on the outside, and that's the result you're getting.
So that top yellow for Sampson here is not lined up for a run back. You think they try to draw through that port?
Yeah, I think
on the top
I think you have to, not just to try to get shot for yourself, but to take that shot away from Purcell.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his best way in for 3 right now, looking at all the other angles. I don't think that in-turn port is there unless you throw a little bit of a spinner because it's staggered the wrong way on the opposite side. So he's got an angle tap with that guard. If you throw this out turn, even if it doesn't end up for shot, you take it away from him. And that's the biggest thing here, is you hold him to 2, you still take hammer for the extra.
So if you can get it just full 4, like that red is top 4, they can't get to third shot.
Be very difficult, yeah. And if you can outcount the back one even, then it's going to be tough to get.
3/4, 4 foot is a great shot here. Even, like you said, plugging up that hole isn't bad. Makes it really tough to score 3.
Well, either a team that scored 4 or a team that scored 5 is going to lose this game, one way or the other.
It's pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, we scored 4 once this weekend and lost, so it can be done. Final stone of the 8th for Ethan Sampson. Line's getting a little tight on the guard here, but it looks like it's still by.
Yep, by the guard here.
Yeah, that is by. Might need a piece of their own.
Lots of yelling going on there, Tyler.
Yeah, they definitely
Full
got
4. They
at
got
least second.
They got the second shot.
With as much as they finished it, I don't think there's a
I don't
draw in, but there may be a run. Depending on the action on that top stone, if it jams on the back red or not.
That yellow on T-line looks like it always goes off that one that's biting 4 foot.
Yeah, that might be
jams.
just perfect where that ended up. There's also a straight run back with the red. That one might go over the top with the angle it's on. I think if you dead nose the run back on that red, it may be for the win. If it was coming in at an angle like that corner guard is, then I think that one jams for sure. But I think if you play the straight run, you might get the right action over the top.
Hit the button too many times there. Sorry if I hope you're not sensitive to flashing lights.
And now they're looking at the angle one again. I'm a little surprised they don't think that straight run gets the action over the top.
You miss a millimeter wide on that, you take out your own. I mean, you have to take the risk, right? To me, that yellow always jams on that back red.
They seem to think the angle with the corner guard is better. I think I disagree. Jackson, don't you think the straight run gets the yellow going over the top?
Again, I don't have the mind of a skip. I don't know my angles all that well. I almost failed geometry, but I think that yellow always jams. But
I think on this shot it does.
This one for sure.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that this was the
Big
choice.
shot for the win here for Purcell.
Hoping for at least a 2 in the tie, possibly 3 in the win. Angle run. Ooh, could have double clicked and gotten them
That
both
is
possibly,
game.
but
Sampson
instead
win.
looks like don't know if it was a steal, but it's good enough. Ethan Sampson takes the win with a big comeback victory to move on to the finals of the Duluth Cash. The win over Owen Purcell.
What an exciting finish to that game. A couple great shots.
Fantastic comeback there. We'll get back to the extra end now. John Shuster and Joe Polo. Only one guard in play for Polo right now. A high red stone off of the center line. A couple of rocks in the house. Polo sitting shot in the top of the 8-foot.
Well, now 2 guards in play.
That one is mostly covering the rock in the 8-foot. I don't think you'll see Shuster chase the one in the house and fall into the trap. Jackson, you never assume in this situation that the rock in the 8-foot is going to be the one that beats you. The guard is the one that you want to make sure you remove. So if that rock was in the 4-foot and we had this exact same setup, I think you'd see John chase the rock in the house. But he doesn't feel like that rock's going to be the one that beats him. So you play this end out with peel, replace, with Plies playing the intern right now, then it's probably coming down to Corey tapping that stone up on his last and trying to leave John as tough of a double as he can.
Mm-hmm.
So for John, same thing. If you decide I can see enough of that yellow to play it, then you're leaving the guard. So do you think that Corey's going to bring a better one in if you take that rock out? And that's the thought process.
And they're still only playing for 3.5 feet of curl here. 3.
Yeah,
you know,
same turn as we saw coming back this way, where we're seeing virtually no curl whatsoever.
Joe just threw this, so should have this weight down, line down. Got to get to move a little bit.
Yeah, you just want a
Fully
good
covered.
mid guard.
Almost identical to where it was.
And the lack of curl, too, Jackson, makes a big difference in how they throw these guards, too, because normally, with how the ice has been playing the entire weekend, if you threw a guard that high, it's 1.5 probably there,
Yeah.
you could dig that rock out pretty easily.
Still very gettable.
But now, with that line running as straight as it is, you can throw that guard high because you're not worried about the other team being able to dig it out. So that's part of the reason why you're seeing Polo and Dropkin throw these guards as high as they are, is they're daring Shuster to try to dig it out with hack weight on that straight line.
Playing front end earlier in the weekend, tight guards were crucial.
Yeah.
You throw it high, it's useless.
Yeah, again, we have not seen a track like this the entire week for this tournament. We've had good, consistent curl, pretty much. Some tracks curling more than others, but nothing running this straight. So definitely a surprise. And I think that's the reason you'll see Corey throw one more guard, too. Is he wants to dare John to try to come around that rock on a straight track. And I really doubt you'll see that. I think this will be another peel from Shuster following this shot.
Yeah, bring it down to the last couple stones. I mean, they're trying to put it just under curled there from Dropkin a little bit, but still in a good spot.
Yeah, John might have that red through the hole now, and I think he's going to play it.
That's what he's looking at, yeah.
But there will still be a guard, even if Shuster makes that shot. So the question is, if you come through the hole and you make that, how are the rocks going to stagger afterwards? Because you don't want to leave them staggered in a way that if Corey makes the draw afterwards, then you have no run in.
Right.
So I'm not sure if I'm John, if I'm playing that shot or not, just because it's in the top 8. I think the peel's probably still the shot. But
are we going to see you guys disagree again for the third or fourth time today?
It may just depend on if they think that they're worried about playing that track, too, that they just want to kill that stone now and make Corey be the one to have to make it. And now they're looking at the guard, too. I think the peel is the shot still here. You're going to end up probably having to play either a little run-in on your red or double on the yellow. But if that guard is gone, the worst-case scenario for Shuster is he has like a 3-foot double run.
Yeah.
If the shot's made by Dropkin. So I think you need to peel this shot.
You know, it's kind of funny. You play all 8 ends and then go into an extra, and you almost could have just said, let's not play and just do a skip straight of the button to see who wins this game.
And they are peeling now. Again, the placement of that yellow stone makes all the difference in this decision. If that rock is even 6 inches deeper, I think John is playing that short little red-yellow run, and that would be the right shot. But with the 8-foot rock, I think you have to play this. And well made by Shuster. You just have to think about what's the worst-case scenario either way. Like, you know, you're playing the peel you're going to make probably, you know, really high percentage of the time,
95% of
the
time.
So then you look at the rocks after that and you say, what's the toughest shot I'll have to play if I make this peel?
So do they ever just try to tap this yellow back a little bit to almost tee?
Yeah, that's
right behind
they're definitely going to tap their own. Yeah, with it running as straight as it is, like you might consider going around it sometimes, but with this straight path, the tap is just a lot easier shot.
Yeah, I don't think you have the curl to get behind it.
Yeah, so it's a matter of, do we want to angle it behind the red or we want to catch it on the nose?
Mm-hmm.
If you angle it behind the red, then as long as the shooter doesn't roll too far, then John's playing his own back, but he has to stick around. If you play this on the nose, then it's close. I think he probably still would have to stick the raised rock in. Yeah, he's probably going to have to stick it either way with the short run. So it's a matter of what angle do you want him playing? Or do you want him playing yellow-yellow? Do you want him playing a red-yellow? If you're playing yellow-yellow, you don't have to stick it. You're just trying to kill both. So I think if you're Corey, I think you want to angle this a little bit and push it behind the red.
Trying to make
so
it
then
play
John
red,
has to
yellow.
stick around. Yeah.
Make that shot a little bit tougher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yellow-yellow, you can throw whatever weight he wants. Kill them both and game over. Red-yellow, he has to stick. So he wants to hit like 3/4 of this on the high side.
Line looks...
That's pretty good. It rolled far enough that John can play the in-off double if he wants to.
I was just thinking that.
So he's putting the broom down for the straight run immediately.
Yeah, he didn't really think about that one too much. He knew what he wanted to do there.
They must really not like that draw path either, because he can draw the button for the win, which normally would be the shot I think you'd choose to play.
I mean, that's kind of like a 2-foot tap-in, 4-foot tap-in for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, that says something about what shot they would prefer to play here.
That path just must be really fudgy.
That they don't like the draw at all. So, in turn, short, straight back run for John Shuster for the win.
Calling him on it here.
Starting to curl. Really curling.
Oh, wow.
Over curls. So actually got across the center line and turned. I think Shuster a little surprised with as straight as it was running on the opposite side of the center line that rock actually took a turn and played it really soft too, Jackson. That part I'm not surprised by, but I think John definitely got surprised by the turn it took when it crossed the center.
That's the most we've seen any rock curl going down that side in the last couple ends here. So, we're looking at a Polo Samson final. Couple exciting games to watch here. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah, thanks for joining in the booth, Jackson. It was a lot of fun. We're going to head upstairs for a bit now. Could be anybody in the booth for this final, but please tune in and watch. Thanks for listening in. Hope you're enjoying your playoff football and playoff curling Sunday for Tyler George, Jackson Purdy, Broomfitters, Pickwick, George's Liquor, Roscoe's Pioneer Bar, Lake Superior Dental. I think the Duluth Curling Club and our final spots. That's from memory right there, ladies and gentlemen.
That was impressive.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everybody.